historic on Fury Road.
Do not, my friends, become addicted to water.
It was perfect! Perfect in every way!
I am the daughter of Mary Jobasa.
My name is Max.
You heard it up top. We are ready for Oh, What a Day. Oh, what a lovely day. We are riding historic on that Fury Road because we're talking Mad Max Fury Road here on Normies Like Us with your hosts, Crazy Colin.
Mike. My name's Mike.
This is the return of Rictus Jake Rectus.
Nice.
I have
Welcome
a
back,
baby
Rictus.
brother. Perfect in every way.
He was perfect.
I used that in the intro to describe this movie. It was perfect. Perfect in every way.
Nice.
As a companion piece to what this is now a sequel to the Furiosa movie that released recently.
Right.
And we couldn't get enough of The Wasteland, despite maybe having mixed feelings. We think it's a great movie, and it made us want to keep talking about this new era of Mad Max that George Miller has gifted us with as of this film, 2015's Fury Road. Yeah.
This is us forcing people to keep talking about Mad Max and go to see Furiosa. Support these movies, you fools.
It should not be
That's what-
doing worse than Garfield. Stop it.
I read some sad news the other day that it had like a drop off of like, it made like $10 million in its second weekend. And
So
so
it's like
on track to,
69% drop or something insane. Yeah.
Can I point out the most damning thing? I learned this fact recently. Did you know this film bombed in Australia?
Come on, Australians.
No.
You gotta
Do
support
better.
your local films.
Fury Road won more Oscars than any Australian film ever made. Ever.
Yeah.
So, like, come on, guys. Yeah, do your part.
I mean,
I'm
George
doing my
Miller
part.
is the god of Australian directors, right?
And yeah, and you know
Should
what
be.
I realized? Because we'll get into the behind the scenes a little bit, but there was a lot of Joseph Campbell, I think, in the Mad Max saga. And I realized that inside all of us, there are two Georges. One is a Miller, one is a Lucas. And it depends on which one you feed, you know?
And they both made
Yes.
crazy prequels to their hit movie that explained, maybe more than we wanted from.
And maybe
Very
they'll
stylish.
age better. Like, people
Yeah.
come around later to be like, oh, Furiosa is actually pretty good in 10, 15 years. But I did
hope
think
so.
inside of us are
I
two
think it's
Georges.
pretty good right now.
Yeah, I think it's good right now too, and just be thankful if you don't have a Zach inside of you, a Zach Schneider, you know.
That's right.
But yeah, we're talking Fury Road 2015 again. We talked Furiosa. I guess I just want to touch on, I did go back to the theater and rewatch Furiosa for a matinee, and then immediately drove home very fast, right, very angrily, and threw on Fury Road to see how they worked, kind of as a prequel, sequel, like a double feature. And they are very different. So that's kind of how I went about this. But, you guys, we rewatched this for Furiosa, but did you guys watch Fury Road again? Get any other supplemental?
I just
Stuff
watched
on?
it last week before I saw Furiosa, and then I actually watched it twice because I watched the actual cut and then I watched the black and chrome cut the next day. So I saw it twice in 2 days. So I was like, I've seen it enough that I
Fair.
don't need to rewatch it again this weekend. But
Nice.
I do want to go back and see Furiosa in the theater again before it comes to streaming because I just love it so
I had
much.
to give it some money. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm, someone's got to support it, like you're saying. But I want to ask you guys: do you have any? Has your opinion changed at all since last week about Furiosa, either good or bad?
That's a good question up top.
That's a great question. I'm having a weird reaction to what I find is people being overly defensive of the movie, where they say things to me like, yeah, Colin, I don't like those things about it either, but it's still good. Where I'm like, stop saying that. It's making me like it less.
That's
but I'm
me.
fighting those instincts. And in my
Mhm.
heart, I still want to love it very much, but I've not re-seen it again.
Yeah, and having re-seen it, I'm still, I don't think, this is just my opinion, I don't think they work very well as a double feature because the movie ends leading directly to the night that she smuggles the wives out, and I can't see them being the same character the next morning. Like, I can't see that being Charlize Theron.
But you
It-
only see her from behind in that last scene. She's
But
walking, right? So it looks
true,
like
there's maybe a
Charlize.
time thing. But that being said, I noticed just how much of a genius George is because the entire movie is a masterclass of setup and payoff. Like I complain that Mary Jabasa has to get on another motorcycle and whatever, and then I watched it this time. The first bike that she kills, it crashes and flips off the front wheel. That's one that she rides, setting up that she needs to replace the tire and get like the Thunder bike. There's a dude using exercise balls. He goes outside, and then she kills somebody with a slingshot using the exercise ball. It's like everything is set up and paid off, even the grappling hook bike. Yeah, like she saves Truckman Jack with a grappling hook bike, but it's set up way early in the scene that's the bike that wrecks, and it's telegraphed like this. There's a hook on this, and it's like the attention to detail, even the way the bikes are designed. I mean, there's amazing stuff in that movie. It feels like it's in a different universe than Fury Road, especially watching them back to back.
I don't I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jacob. I just want to get this fact out real quick. I did learn recently, and I'll just do a quick plug for the Blank Check podcast, which I love very much. Jacob, I know you love it very much. We've recommended it to a bunch. Mike, check it out. All listeners, I recommend checking it out. They had an interview with Kyle Buchanan, who is the guy, New York Times columnist, who is
he wrote the
guy.
book on
he wrote the
Fury
book,
Road.
Blood, Sweat, and Chrome. Boom.
Making of Fury
I'm gonna have to read that. Yeah.
I want to read it too. And
I want to
say,
read it too, yeah.
I have not read it, right? But the facts, when you hear this guy speak and hearing this 3-hour-long interview he did recently, because they did a Furiosa episode to cover it, he divulged these facts, Mike, that for a fact, it is known that the performance Anya Taylor-Joy is giving is completely different from Charlize, because Charlize had a completely different backstory written for her. Like she was a bride of Immortan Joe is her whole story, who was thrown out because she's barren. That's completely different. You get very different energies from those performances. I think those do clash, dude. I don't know. I don't know. I just wanted to get that out.
There's cool stuff in it when they rev up a 500 motorcycles. That's objectively cool to be like, look at our power, like the Congress of Destruction. There's cool stuff in it, but anyway, Jacob, go ahead.
Please.
I don't know. I think I want to watch it again in theaters because I have not really stopped thinking about it since I saw it. And
interesting.
I'm maybe the highest on Furiosa of the three of us. It seems
you are.
Yeah.
But I still think, it's not as good as Fury Road, but of course, it's not as good as maybe the greatest action movie of all time. That's not really fair to Furiosa, I don't feel like. But I listened to that episode too of Blank Check, or most of it. I didn't finish it yet, but I think there's a lot, obviously the CG is maybe different looking, or maybe not as good in Furiosa. The setting where, of course, in Fury Road, they had to shoot in Namibia, right? Because of circumstances where they weren't able to shoot in Australia.
Green place being formed.
Yes.
Yeah. And so with Furiosa, they actually did shoot in Australia. So I think maybe that's partly why it looks a little bit different. But you're comparing, movies that are 9 years apart, so there's a lot of differences there. And I think
he's sundowning in his life too, Jacob. 9 years when you're in your 80s, it's like your viewpoint changes so drastically what he wants to say. I think that's why he hangs up the revenge angle. It's just so interesting.
But George Miller, he still got it, even though he's old. And so much of this was written while they were making, while Fury Road was in pre-production. So I think it does, to me, they do work well together. Although I do want to watch them sort of back to back, where I watch Furiosa and then Fury Road. But yeah, and I've heard a lot of criticism about Anya Taylor-Joy in particular, but I'm just thinking, what could they have done instead? You wanted Charlize 9 years older in a prequel? That doesn't make sense.
Personally, no. What I wanted was at least another act of Anya Taylor-Joy acting in the movie that supposedly starred her, but not a little actress girl.
Right. There's less stuff that I felt like I would want to cut the second viewing, but I do want to mention, kind of on the point of Jacob saying that there's a ton of this was written during Fury Road. I read all of the Vertigo comics before this up too, and there's a lot of ideas. There's a line that says, revenge can't balance, not the scales, but they have revenge can't balance or bring anybody back to life. That's the last line in the Mad Max version. And there's a lot of things that are sort of alluded to, and even the video game that you mentioned, Jacob, like Mad Max goes to a fight club in Gastown in this comic that's canon. It's like the storyboard
Yeah.
artist from Fury
Wow.
Road.
Because so much of that world was fleshed out in the making
Mhm.
of Fury Road, in the pre-production. I mean, he was writing that for so long, and so he really fleshed out the world. So a lot of that's why I feel like it does feel continuous, even if some of it looks different, but I think, there's a lot of continuity there.
Mm-hmm. And I watched the whole cutscene for the video game on your recommendation, Colin. You mentioned off pod that you did too. Like we like this world, and now that it seems confirmed that the video game's canon, because it's even in the
Yeah.
comic books, like events that I saw in the video game and Chum
Well,
Bucket, it's cool.
Yeah. With the video game, I think what happened Colin, you mentioned that you watched the video game cutscenes as well, so I'm interested to hear you guys' take on that. Having played the video game, I knew the character Scrotus and all this stuff, Chum Bucket. What I think happened with the video game is they had access to George Miller's notes on the world that weren't used necessarily in Fury Road. That's why they have the character of Scrotus, who looks completely different than he
Right.
did in Furiosa.
Which again,
Yeah.
looks and things like that, these are all myths. That's what
Right.
we've said, right? That's what every one of these stories says. I'm fine with the fact that we basically, if you include the video game, and I guess Furiosa too, we have 4 guys who've played Mad Max. That's great. I love
Yeah.
that. That's great. That's what that
The video
needs
game
to
Max
be.
sort of looks like an amalgamation of Mel Gibson and Tom Hardy.
He does.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, you have the cameo in Furiosa, where it kind of looks like the video game guy in that brief
He does.
second.
Yeah.
Something I learned from that Blank Check episode with Kyle Buchanan that was interesting is when they were auditioning for Fury Road, they used that last scene with Furiosa and Dementis to audition. So like Charlize and Tom Hardy were like reading those lines to audition, which kind of is
Wow.
crazy to me. Yeah.
I had no
So
idea.
they had that for
Mentis
so
is,
long.
like you
Yeah.
guys said last week, he's mentioned in the video game. He's been this seed and kernel that has existed in this world. That's so incredible.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to. I'll probably refer to interesting things I learned from the comics when we talk about the movie, like how Morton Joe took over the Citadel and stuff. But like Max, they show you the girl that Max has flashbacks of, and like her mom asks him to help, and her mom gives Max a teddy bear and says, "Give this to her so she'll recognize you," and it looks very similar to the Dementis teddy bear. So now there's a whole fan theory that it's the girl that Max sees Dementis' daughter who was killed after.
Yeah, there's
Could
a lot
it
of
be?
overlap with there. But I
Because
think
these ideas
also-
have existed concurrently, yeah.
But
Yeah.
you watch it and you don't need any of that, because again,
No.
what we're going to talk about when we
Yes.
eventually get to it is a perfect movie, and that's
Yes.
the unfortunate thing about when you have a perfect film in your franchise. It's like every other film gets weighted against that perfect
Right.
film, right?
Right.
And I
But I
guess
think
where I
that's-
finally land for all of this, like George Miller's Sunsetting, like I enjoyed reading the comic and learning more about this fascinating world. I think Furiosa, it's cool to learn more about the world. I don't like it more than Fury Road. And let George cook. Even if they're like,
Yeah.
just give him the money, regardless of box office, because we deserve to have more of his vision on screen,
Totally. And I hope they do, even though, Furiosa hasn't been, hasn't done as well financially, obviously, as they wanted it to.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
what's interesting is obviously George Miller, he does want to make another Mad Max with Tom Hardy called Mad Max Wasteland, which would be a prequel to Fury Road and would be showing what Mad Max was doing leading up to the events of Fury Road. So essentially, if that would happen, then there would be 2 prequels. Like Fury Road would be the sequel to 2 different movies, one
But-
starring
Mhm.
Mad Max and one starring
that would
Furiosa, which is
also
kind of cool.
Be the
Yeah.
video game, Jacob, because I did
Yeah.
not know. You guys keep referencing that the Hope and Faith characters, the little girl who is in this movie, Fury Road. I didn't know. Again, that's a video game reference. That's crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah. What is?
The little girl is not Mad Max's daughter. I watched this
No.
as
Oh,
a
yes,
young
yes.
fan watching this going, interesting. To retcon away the first film that Jacob, remind me what his name is. Is it Scrug? What is his little
Skag?
Skag? That's his little baby's name.
Rocks, yeah,
Um,
Skag Rokoskansky.
Nice.
Skag.
Or
Rokoskansky.
Sprog. Sprog, that's what it is.
Sprague.
Because
So
Sprog
good.
is a slang term for children in Australia. So he's like a little
Okay.
Sprog.
Oh.
Interesting. So,
Yeah.
and the whole time you watch that and you're like, okay, so he had a son in the one continuity. In this, it's a daughter. No, it's not. It's this
Well, I
girl
would-
that he like let down from the
Yeah.
video game, and you're like,
I always
how are we
assumed
supposed to
that-
know that? But you don't need to know it.
It's
Right.
it's something from Max's life before this movie, and you don't need to know the details, just that he wasn't able to
He's
save
haunted.
someone.
Generally haunted.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
all the Mad Max movies, no one knows for sure the continuity. Like, did Road Warrior happen before or after Fury Road? Did Thunderdome
Oh, I
happen
would love
before or
if it
after?
happened after. That'd be
Oh,
very
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, we also only saw the movies where he saved the people. How many times did he not in the wasteland?
Right.
Where
And he's
you know,
kind of
wasteland
he's
true,
takes.
haunted
dude.
by that.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
think that's what Wasteland, this Mad Max movie that he still wants to make, would kind of show those events possibly.
Wow.
And I'm okay with give me Tom Hardy with a crazy beard for half the movie, like completely manic. You know, just give me that opening scene energy for whatever. But I guess suffice to say, you know, go watch Furiosa, read the comics, watch the video game cutscenes, because it all kind of spawned out of this singularity that is Fury Road, you know, and
Absolutely.
it's probably one of the coolest cinematic fictional universes is this Immortan Joe era wasteland.
Well, it's so
I think.
interesting, yeah, that George Miller, for so long, he would just make these episodic movies in Max's life where they never really had any continuity to each other. And now, after fleshing this world out for so long, all he wants to do is make these movies that are interconnected with, you know, the Citadel and all these different communities and stuff
Yeah.
in the wasteland. But one other thing I wanted to ask you guys before we jump into Fury Road,
Hmm.
and this is something that they brought up on that Blank Check episode, which I would also recommend listening to. Would you like Furiosa better if they did the Godfather Part 2 route, where half the movie, where it's cutting back and forth in time periods, and half the movie is young Furiosa with Anya, and then half the movie is older Furiosa with Charlize after the events of Fury Road? It's showing you what happens to her next after they take the Citadel.
You know, in the comic, there's like like it's implied that these are all being told to us by like a history man after Martin Joe's
Yeah.
been defeated, and like there's a panel of one of the wives running the water pump, and like just that one panel, I'm like, so what is Furiosa doing in this current governmental structure? You know, and I would
Right.
like that to maybe, yeah, back
Yeah, to
and
see
forth.
what she's doing, and then that would have the continuity of like, oh, Charlize is in this movie, and it would have a little more continuity between, you know, the performances between Anya and Charlize.
I think that would be cool.
I love Charlize. You watch this
know.
movie and you love Charlize. Like, you
Yeah.
do miss her.
Yeah.
I'm an Anya defender because I think she did as good of a, like, I don't know what else they could have done to, you know, obviously you don't want a de-aged Charlize like the Irishman or something. The
No.
technology's not there yet, and I'm all for recasting actors when the age
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know what else they could have done.
No, I mean, again, it's incredible stunt work, incredible shots, like the acting, like, you know, it's a good movie. It's not Fury Road is all.
It's not the greatest action movie of all time.
Yeah.
That's okay.
You know, but I went and saw it again. Go see it, support this so we can get more, because we all complain about, oh, the movies are bad anyway. It's like, this is one of the good ones and you're not supporting it. Like, come on, people, please. do
Losing to
better.
Garfield, that's not karmically
Again,
correct.
Fury Road lost to Pitch Perfect 2, although it did make more money than Furiosa.
All right, the last question for Furiosa. Will it get nominated for Oscars? It should definitely be nominated for sound design. It is. You can watch it with your eyes closed, I swear.
I think, yeah, some technical ones for sure. I don't think it'll get Best Picture like Fury Road did back in 2015. But I think
Which
you
it
have
did not
Dune 2
win.
coming out in the same year. I think that'll kind of take the more populist blockbuster spot.
Oh, you're
in the
right.
Best Pictures, you know.
And you know what? We've
Yeah.
obviously said in the past, Normies, when we do our like Oscar episodes, right, where we talk about like what we love. I think every episode, every time we've talked about how we want a stunt Oscar, right? Like,
Yeah,
how it deserves to be a
That should have been a
stunt
thing
Oscar.
for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially
Oh, it
watching
would've
behind the
locked
scenes
up.
for this.
Yeah.
No, but like, don't you feel like George should like maybe like soft retire and be like, for the rest of my life, I'm just going to campaign and create the George Miller Award or the, you know,
Yeah.
I forget who was Burt
It'd be-
Reynolds' stuntman, the greatest stuntman ever. That guy.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know.
I don't know.
It would be interesting to go back and see what movie would have won it every year. Like every year a Mission Possible comes out, it probably would have won that year.
I mean, James Bond had that, you know, famous first practical effects, that car that flipped a complete barrel roll off the two ramps in
Yeah.
like the 70s. There's a lot of good James Bond stunts.
Mike, it's funny that you say that. My mind immediately went to the Dark Knight semi that flips when the Joker like shoots it or whatever. That would have won
Yeah.
for
That would have been a good
1,000.
one.
You know, like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah. And there's plenty of sequences in Furiosa that would win. When those guys are skating around on their little metal shoes and pop a parachute behind a motorcycle, that's fucking cool. It's
I
just
forgot
cool.
that they skate, Mike. That is great.
Yeah, it's great. So watch it, and
The
it's
Octo God.
yeah, I love the Octo God.
Love the Octo God.
He's the
Yeah,
best.
his dudes are called Mortifiers. The Octo God Mortifiers.
Dementus, you scum.
You're
I just love that
scum.
little background story where he gets mad at Dementus, leaves his horde, and then like
I only
later
take
attacks
rules
the
from
Word.
the Octo God. What?
Yeah. No, it's
What are you
incredible.
talking about?
Yeah. But I guess it's time we do hit the road on the Fury Road, greatest action movie potentially ever made. But yeah, go fucking watch Furiosa.
The epilogue
you fools.
to Furiosa.
The epilogue.
That's right.
That's what
The
I call it.
PS. The epilogue to
appendix.
Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, Mad Max, Fury Road.
We're back here on Normies Like Us, where we are driving straight into the coolest looking hurricane you've ever seen. We just platinumed our mouse, as Jacob just did. Did we point out, Mike, did you say up top that you are the Road Warrior? If you're watching at home, Normies, please.
Yeah.
It looks like
the
the Road
leather
Warrior.
jacket is back. It's Chuckman Jack, Mad Mike. We're back at it again.
Mad
You
Mike.
need the leg brace thing that he wears, that like metal leg brace.
And that's been around since Road Warrior. Yeah.
yeah.
Classic.
He gets fucking shot in the first movie in his knee, right? And then by the fucking rest of him, he's like, well,
Great.
I'm a little
So
messed
there's
up.
some continuity, but man, I know we just talked Furiosa last week, but I'm really excited to have this conversation because every time
Yes.
I watch this movie, I notice more stuff that I hadn't realized. For example, I'm first of all, I need to thank 2 billion years of evolution to give us 10 fingers, 4 of which are this way, so that when you do V8, you get a V8 engine shaped with your hand.
Vroom,
Thank
vroom.
you, nature.
Oh, true.
Like, so how coincidental is that? But also, Valhalla is 8 letters, and I didn't ever think about that. Worship him, V8, Valhalla. Like, it's stupid, the amount of details in this thing. And then we spend 0 time explaining it. Like, that's why it's beautiful. There's so much density. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, like everything in Fury Road hints at this like larger world building, but it doesn't explain it to you.
Oh,
And so I
these
can-
guys would worship steering wheels, of course. Yeah, you just do that the whole time.
Yeah.
You just nod along.
Mhm.
Car culture taken to the extreme.
But yeah, I really had my mind blown when I realized Valhalla is 8 letters and they're saying V8, V8. I'm like,
You're blowing my
maniac.
mind, dude.
George, come on.
Another thing that I think is funny just in this world of Mad Max is that everyone is like, it's all about gasoline, right? Guzzling. Everyone's trying to get more of it, like even in the Road Warrior and stuff. But what's so funny is when all these groups, whenever they're trying to get more gas, they're using all these cars and stuff that waste your gas just to get more gas. It seems kind of counterintuitive.
Well, then Mary Jabasa and them, they have horses.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Oh,
doing
right.
it the right
more
way.
sustainable.
And they had
vehicle.
wind power, I noticed this time too, not just
Yeah.
solar. So
And Jacob keeps bringing up the camels and Thunderdome, which very much makes me
Right.
laugh.
yes.
He just has the chassis of his car and he's getting
Yeah.
pulled by camels.
But it's tale as old as time, you know. We war for resource. So Morton Joe controls the water, and his warlords have the gas and the armory. So we control the resource, therefore consolidate power. You know, so
That's right.
it makes sense. It's a tale as old as time.
He's got
you know?
the fresh food. He's got the mother's milk.
Right, which
Yeah.
according to the comic, it was just like they had water there, but like he set up the hydroponics. He
Aquifer.
got Gastown working and the bullet farm. It was just a decommissioned oil plant that wasn't running. So he
Right.
actually set up a lot of infrastructure, which when you see Dementus, it's like, yeah, you are not at the level that... And Morton Joe's a crazy warlord, but he built
says,
infrastructure.
There's difference
blow
in
up
leadership,
Gastown,
yeah.
however, he says it will take generations for
Yeah.
us
To
to fix
rebuild.
that again.
My
So-
crazy fan theory
Yeah.
is that Gastown is the settlement from Road Warrior, although they do blow it up. in
Because
Road Warrior,
they were
but
just so
rebuild
full
it.
of octane, of course.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
the
That would
comic
make
book
sense.
has a Thunderdome. They call it Thunderdome, and they say the week
Right.
we do Thunderdoming is called Amnesty. So it could be
So
Barter
that's
Town.
getting around. God.
Yeah.
Yeah, wild. But we don't see any of the Gastown fights in Dementus's time, nor this. But again, we love this universe. But Fury Road, right? Let's do it. This movie,
Yeah.
again, it pedal to the metal. It kicks off. We eat a lizard. We're getting chased, and we do that the whole movie. We get chased.
Yeah.
But
That's right,
iconic
it's a
opening
movie-length
shot.
car
you
chase.
know?
That's right. very iconic. And it's funny that like pretty much every Mad Max movie starts with him just losing his car and just getting sucked into these events that he does not want any part of, and he's just trying to get his car back and maybe some gasoline. But he keeps getting wrapped up in these larger events.
Even the video game, dang it, I need a new car. The comic book, he's trying to get an engine for his car. Yeah, he just like,
let him have the car, right, Colin? That's what you want.
Well, yeah,
the black
V8
on black.
Please let me see the V8 Interceptor Pursuit Special.
Yeah.
I love all this. This opening, the two-headed lizard is the most interesting writing you could give because it immediately goes, there's fallout here. This is what you have to do to survive. Everything is brutal. Like, oh my God. And then we go into it, and I just want to give a quick note to say, we're talking about 2015, Mad Max Fury Road, directed by George Miller, blah, blah, blah. We said all this before, the greatest man of all time. But this guy who is shooting this Wasteland movie, it could just be desert brown tones. I'm wearing tie-dye right now. I was thinking about this as I was putting it on. I was like, oh, we're going to talk about this apocalypse movie. It's dumb that I'm wearing like tie-dye. No, it's not. This is an extremely colorful, awesome movie. It never has the Marvel gray skies. You know what I mean? It's so beautiful.
And it goes against the aesthetic of a lot of like post-apocalyptic movies like The Road or things like that. And I even saw like a Twitter post of someone who had color corrected frames from Fury Road to look like that color palette. And like, imagine if Fury Road looked like this. And
why would you do that?
Like, yeah, it wouldn't be as good.
George Miller made a conscious choice. Yeah. No, it would look horrible because he's like, if you're going to go that desaturated, you might as well just do it in black and white, which is where that idea came from. But then the studio is like, maybe colors. It's like, let's do extra color.
Right. Mike, I just said that, and all three of us have just watched the blood and chrome edition, the black and white. Like it also works on that level. Is what's incredible about this movie.
No, and this time too, to complement the color again, like I'm thinking, if I was first just seeing this blind, not knowing anything, what is being communicated? Like I said, the two-headed lizard, we have radiation noted. And when he gets captured by the war boys and is escaping, like we get the tattoo, blood type O, but he runs through these hallways that are just dirt. And it's like, okay, this is just a shitty dirt place. Then he falls into a vat of water. And when he looks up, there are clearly plants growing above him. So like, okay, this place isn't just desert. And you don't think about it, but you feel it like, okay, there's water here, there's plants, like it's in the back of your mind. And until he opens those doors and you see the expanse of the citadel, like you're getting drip fed information about this culture. It's masterful.
Right. It's master storytelling.
Yeah.
First of all, the two-headed lizard reminds me of Fallout New Vegas.
A lot of Fallout.
The NCR flag, which is the California state flag, which has a bear on it, but it's a two-headed bear. And it's a very funny thing in Fallout, so it makes me think of that.
Is there a two-headed Yaogwai in Fallout that you fight? They need to have one.
I feel like maybe. Yeah, there's like the bison or whatever they call them that are like have two heads.
Oh, the Brahmins, yeah.
There should be a food stuff that you can have that is just a little two-headed lizard in Fallout. Yeah. That'd be very funny.
Oh, that would be it. Well, they have iguana on a stick, but you know.
Oh, interesting.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, just this opening, and it's so high octane. We're doing the ramping, we're getting the trauma, like the characters popping up as he's running away. It's like, oh, he's running from his past. Duh, I get it.
Like, and I just like
flashbacks.
I just want to remind everyone, like it's 2015. We're sitting down to this. This guy has not made a movie since Happy Feet 2, and you're like, okay, what does that mean? So you've grown up, you're an adult, you've seen movies, you've seen Marvel movies, those are the things that are coming out, superhero movies. It's 2015. It's like the peak of that. We're deep into Avengers. And all of a sudden, you're sitting down, and the first 5 to 10 minutes you watch of this, which is almost completely dialogue free, of horror, of the high frame rate that you just said, Mike, of the splashes of color we're talking about, Jacob. Then it cuts to these credits that explode at you, and the sound of an engine is crashing down around you. You're in your seat, shaking. And again, Mike, did you see this one in 4D originally? Did you say?
Yes, 40X was the first time I experienced Fury Road. Yeah.
That's so cool, dog.
It was insane.
Well, yeah, and think about, the last time you made a Mad Max movie, 1985.
That's
insane. So it's been 30 years since he made a Mad Max. He's made Lorenzo's Oil, 2 Babe movies, 2 Happy Feet movies, and now he wants to go back to Mad Max, and he makes this. And do you guys
Yeah.
remember when the trailer dropped for this, like at Comic-Con or something the summer before?
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw that trailer for the first time, I was like, holy shit, this is insane.
Every poster was
Yeah.
just the small car and then the huge dust storm behind it, and it would just say in white letters, "Oh, what a lovely day." I remember thinking, like, I don't like what is this marketing? What does that mean? But that trailer, Jacob, I remember thinking, like, my heart just woke up. Like, it's got fuel in it now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You just see flashes of images from the movie to a crazy score, and it's like, oh my god, is this going to be
Some
the
of these
greatest
vistas,
movie
there's a
ever made?
flame, like you can't even take it all in. It's like there's a
Yeah.
big rig with shit on it and a flamethrower. Like you can't even. There's
I was
so much.
playing
Right.
guitar, I think.
You see the Water Boys, you see the Doof Warrior, you see a close up of Immortan Joe with his mask. You're like, what the fuck? This is
Especially when
insane.
you think of like Beyond Thunderdome or Road Warrior, like iconic, but like to go from Lord Humongous to
Yeah.
all of this, it's like how does
Hockey
he still
pads.
Guy
have
with
it?
a hockey mask. Yeah.
Oh,
And there's a guy with a hockey mask that stabs Furiosa. It's spray painted black, but it, as a throwback to Lord Humongous. So.
oh, I guess that's true. That's
Yeah.
funny. That's a great dog.
But yeah, it's just this overwhelming visual spectacle and the sound, and like it's so heavy metal, right? Which he was gonna
Yeah.
name Mad Max heavy metal, but they wouldn't give him the rights. So they just
Right.
used the font to market it.
That's so cool.
Yeah. And this is like a Zack Snyder, what he thinks he's doing. Like this is everything
Yeah.
that's cool, but it
Yeah.
actually works. You know, it could be cheesy, but it's not.
unimitatable. I mean, it's perfect, Mike.
Yeah. And so
I feel
this
like this is the
intro, no
movie that he wanted
dialogue.
to make the whole time. Like he made Mad Max 1 on a
Mhm.
very limited budget. Then he made Road Warrior, which I feel like is the movie he wanted to originally make. But he just keeps improving over time and getting access to more money and better
Mhm.
technology and stuff. So by the time he makes Fury Road, this is the movie that he actually wanted to make the whole time.
Yeah, and even from Bartertown, though, you see this idea of considering like a larger wasteland of like, oh, what if there was a place where people would need to like trade stuff, right? Like he's starting to have this
Yeah.
idea of cultures that would spring up, and then even the storyboards for this were being worked on before Happy Feet. Because I remember there was an artist who came to work on Happy Feet mentioned in interviews like, and I wanted to work with George Miller on Mad Max, not Happy Feet, but I took the job, and then when I walk into the office and all these storyboards and it just says Fury Road are in the room the entire time we're working on Happy Feet. So George Miller's been constantly thinking about this, even through those
Yeah.
other movies.
Again, from that Blank Check episode, which is hosted by a guy named Griffin Newman, who is a sometimes actor who acted in a movie in 2010 with Zoe Kravitz called Beware the Gonzo, starring Ezra Miller. Colin knows what I'm talking about.
Please don't say the other stars in the movie.
Whoa.
But so he was in a movie with Zoe Kravitz, and while they were like shooting it, like while they're waiting between takes and stuff, she's talking about this Mad Max movie that George Miller wants to make in 2010. Like they're in pre-production for
And
it.
she's
Like, yeah, it's gonna
auditioning
be
for
great.
Furiosa, Mike. She's not
Wow.
even reading for. I'm excited for Jacob to read all their names.
Toaster
Herod.
Boeing, yes. We'll get to all the wives' names because they're
Yeah, I know two of them now.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
But so
and
it's just been a long time in the making, and it's amazing that we got the movie that we got, and you know that he got funding for it and everything.
yeah, and we
it's a
talked about how hype everyone was at Comic-Con, but like the test screenings were not good because they hadn't shot any of the Citadel stuff, and people were complaining there's too much action.
Whoa.
Because they filmed the Citadel stuff after Namibia and Australia, so they had all the stuff in the middle, but they didn't have the opening and the closing. So,
Right.
but still, for
Wow.
the studio to be like, I don't know, George, this is probably not going to work, and they're like, you need to change this and that, and him and his editor were like, fuck that, we're just going to deliver the movie we want,
Why would we do that?
Yeah.
and then to be validated by the fans being like, this looks fucking awesome. Like how studios need to chill
Yeah,
on
it
the
does.
interference sometimes, especially when something's not finished.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And some people were maybe apprehensive about Tom Hardy taking over the role from Mel Gibson and sort of the different take that he was doing on it. Obviously, I think he wanted to originally make this with Mel Gibson in like 2002. Eventually, he got too old and, you know, too other stuff, controversial.
Well, my letter writing campaign failed for him to come
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
But
Maybe
yeah,
we'll
so
get
we
the Godfather 2 Old Max with
old Max
the
with
next
Mel
Tom Hardy.
Gibson.
Well, he'll do the flashbacks.
Hey,
Tom Hardy will do the
Charlize,
flashbacks.
Looking good.
Oh no.
Yeah, he'll play young. He'll play young Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, Tom Hardy.
But in this
Tom
whole thing,
Harley.
so
People were saying after this came out, by the way,
Tom Harley,
and he's
like
had a
that.
lot of motorcycles. Yeah.
That's right.
Venom.
Obviously he's doing a weird voice and accent, which is what I love about Tom Hardy. I've talked about it many times.
Oh, he is?
But in this opening scene where he's trying to get away and he goes and he opens that door and then he jumps onto the giant hook.
Even
and
showing
all
that he's
stuff.
willing to jump onto the hook. Like he will do anything. Like that's,
Yeah.
you know, the desperation. It's like, God, guys.
It's
We're
interesting
getting-
why they kidnap him because he's a universal donor. He has the right
He's a
blood type. He's
Blood
very
bag.
useful.
They
to
want
them.
his car.
They're like tattooing his back like universal donor, like don't
Teeth,
kill this
all
guy
of
or
them.
whatever.
Like, yeah. Like
Yeah.
Now,
they-
do we now know or think that this is maybe a program started by the organic mechanic?
Oh, for sure.
I
mean,
think so.
he's the medical expert there, as we see.
We'll find
Yeah.
blood bags, mate.
Well, yeah, I got it because they have Half-Life. You know, the War Boys run out on empty. They have that exact line. So yeah, we need fresh blood.
Half-life and full life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we meet
Yeah.
Nux, who's basically dying. But he's like, look, let me go out on one last time so I can, you know, be awaited at Valhalla and all that stuff. I've got the blood of a, what does he call it? like crazy
Raging
blood running
Feral.
A
through.
barbarian or yes.
Oh, crazy
Yeah.
blood. Yeah, ramping me up.
I'm hopped up on V8 crazy blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're, this is my one issue. We found the second flaw ever. I wouldn't organic mechanic. I'd be like, we need this blood type O guy. Like, you can't put him on the front of a car. I'm sorry.
Hook him
Yeah,
up to the front of the
hey,
car.
you guys aren't coming back from this.
But maybe
so
they're
everybody
like,
knows.
You know,
This
we're
blood bag is
crazy
more
war
valuable
boys.
than
Take
your
my
life.
blood bag with me.
Yeah, no, he's more valuable than 10 of you. Like, no,
Yeah.
but you know.
'Cause we get
But
this-
before
this-
that, we see now a Morton Joe in his water and it's his display of power. But you see the frailness first, where they have to blow the powder on his back, and like you could tell he's a fake man.
Yeah, it's all like posturing. He's got like the thing that the body
Armor
or whatever
that
he
looks like
wears, whatever, but
muscles.
He's got like a bunch of lesions and
The
stuff. Like
medals,
he's
the
messed up.
hair. I know
Yeah.
that I said it to you guys afterwards,
Yeah.
but I have to get it on record. He looks so much like Donald Trump. It is insane.
Yeah, and this came out
Fair.
in 2015, so it's kind of predicting the near future.
Right. And to
He's got
note,
idiot sons.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and he's bad at
These are my
business,
sons,
sort of.
Scrotus and
Yeah, and he like loses a
Erectus.
bunch of like things he should be paying attention to.
Because he's
Yeah.
so petty. Oh my gosh. All right. But so this intro to him versus you just see him in Furiosa, it's like if that's the first time you meet Morton Joe's in Furiosa, he's just chilling, as opposed to look at how hard he's pretending. Like this again, introduction to all these characters is so strong. You mentioned Nux and Morton Joe's intro, Furiosa, like everybody, like it's
yeah.
perfect.
Let's
And-
sorry, real quick, let's throw out some names. Nux, Nicholas Holt, he's
Mhm.
playing the War Boy. We'll talk a little bit more about him and his Half-Life here in a second. And then of course Hugh Keys Byrne, Toe Cutter.
That's right.
A guy, a Shakespearean Australian actor who
R.I.P.
played
Mhm.
the R.I.P. who played the big part in the first Mad Max film, returns for this. That's incredible.
Yeah, and I
He's
rewatched
got to
this.
be a friend of George Miller, right?
Yeah, of
He had,
course.
he has gang of Australians that he was working with all these different Mad Max movies, I'm sure.
Yep. Like Stunt might have been working on these since Road Warrior onward too, but I rewatched this at the Alamo for Furiosa, but they had a Silence Your Cell Phones bit from Fury Road with George Miller and Toe Cutter. I remember. I'm sorry about the name.
They talked about
It's-
that on Blank Check.
Yeah, and he's
I've
like,
now since watched that as well, Mike. It's very funny.
right, in the
I saw a
wasteland,
clip of
everything's
him
crazy. Yeah, it's good.
Behind the scenes clip of Hugh Keys Byrne where he sees all the extras that are war boys and he's like, you guys look amazing, and they're all doing the
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh man.
Yep.
That's
That's
so cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
Um
So
by the way,
rest in
here's a-
peace. Yeah, he's incredible in
Yeah.
this.
Absolutely. I've got a little fun fact for you about a connection to the original Mad Max. We all know the Hugh Keys Byrne one, but
Mhm.
did you know the mechanic in Mad Max that they run into is played by Nico Lathuris, who is the co-writer for Fury Road and Furiosa.
Whoa.
I did not know that.
The
I
mechanic
think
in
he's
Mad Max.
credited on the comic books too.
Nico
That's so cool.
Lathuris. Yeah. So he's just another friend of George Miller that he's
Just
like,
forever.
yeah.
That's
'cause he was-
awesome.
because George Miller wrote these with a guy named Byron Kennedy for a while, and then he sadly passed away in the
Mhm.
80s right before Thunderdome in a helicopter
Oh,
accident.
that's right.
That's
And
why
he was going to
Thunderdome is,
co-direct that film, if I'm
yeah.
correct. And then George Miller was like really like freaked out by that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, he almost didn't make Thunderdome because he was so like depressed about it, and then
Jesus.
it's like dedicated to this guy Byron Kennedy.
Yeah. Nico Lathoris is credited on the comic books, as well as Mark Sexton, who was part of the storyboard artist for Fury Road and stuff. So wow.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So it's all canon because it's all
Again,
that
it's
stuff
like
that
all
George
these
thought of.
things are. I know we're saying like the world isn't connected, but it does make it seem like it's extremely connected or extremely well written or
Yeah.
plotted out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, he's
Yeah.
just thought about this world a lot
Mm-hmm.
over time.
Yeah, and I and just the way it's presented to us in Fury Road, again, it leaves you wanting more, like you're thirsty. You don't get enough of it, you know, but it's just so intense. So like I get Furiosa and these everything that extends out of this, because like you can tell there's so much, it's so much deeper than what we get in the 2 hours we spend here.
Yeah.
Because every shot is incredible, you know. So we have Furiosa. We learn about Immortan's brand because they're going to brand Max, and then we see the
Yes.
back of her neck as her intro. She walks away to
Right.
the big truck.
You just see her shaved head,
Yep.
brand on the back of the neck, Imperator Furiosa. She gets in the car,
Mm-hmm.
closes the door. You see her mechanical arm.
And we see
Yeah.
the amount of respect she's garnered after seeing how women seem to be treated in this society generally. We see the milkers. I'm not sure
Yes.
if we've maybe met the wives yet, but we haven't because they're hiding. But we know that it's a male-dominated society. Just so when we see Charlize and that she has this, you don't know why, but you understand
Right.
she's got to be a badass. She's got a robot arm. Like they respect
Yeah.
her. Okay,
I've
let's
never
go.
seen
She's an
anybody cooler
imperator.
in my life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and she's playing it so well. Like Anya Taylor-Joy
And
does
even,
fine, but this is
yeah.
ferocious.
Morton Joe shouts her out too in his like little speech. He's like, "My Imperator Furiosa is the
Mhm.
best." But there's-
Exactly.
in that great scene when he's like, "Do not become addicted to water," which is
Or
very
you'll
funny
resent
because
its
like
absence.
it's
So
it's
amazing.
like a a forced scarcity thing because he obviously has a lot of water in like this aquifer. He's just choosing not to share. Like he could share a lot more with the commoners, but you know.
Right, and otherwise the price of mother's milk will go down if we can drink water. You know? So that's the other
I need
thing
some of that
too.
mother's milk.
Yeah. So that's like our main four characters, right? It's Immortan Joe, Furiosa, Max, and Nux. Like they're going to be
Nux.
kind of the main people we deal with in this, and they're all
I would
introduced
argue-
incredibly.
Yeah. Speaking of Nux, I think he's maybe the most important character, even though, Furiosa and Max are like the main characters, but Nux has the biggest arc of them all, which we can talk about. But he
I would agree.
changes the most as a character. Whereas Furiosa, her arc, I mean, she has more of an arc in Furiosa, obviously, but she's kind of remains the same character. Mad
Yeah.
Max kind of remains, he's more of a bystander in the story, but
He
Nux has
becomes a
real
human
change
by
of
the
character.
end, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
But Nux does change because he's a complete fanatic. You can tell, like, I'm going to die historic on the Fury Road. Like, he headbutts
Yeah.
Slit, he's like, I just got promoted, it's like, I want to
He's
fucking die.
Yeah, he's been brainwashed since he was born by this like cult where he's like, "Your God Emperor, you're gonna die for him at one point, and you'll be awaited in Valhalla and stuff." So he's told all this stuff from
Death
birth.
is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so as the
So-
movie progresses, yeah, he's going to have a lot of changes and like realizing, hey, maybe Immortan Joe is just an asshole, but
But
Yeah.
I remember really being bothered by the trailer and being like, Nicholas Hoult is dressed like the henchman in the movie. Nicholas Hoult is like a real actor, and really being surprised by what the depth of the character was, Jacob.
Yeah.
And I think it's really economical writing, though, because he does have a really great role in this, Jacob, and he gives us the point of view of a person who was brought up in Joe's culture, who bought in. Like, you understand
Right.
all the other war boys, and as an extension of how he is in the beginning of the film, which is really
Absolutely.
smart.
He just wants to impress his daddy figure, Immortan
He
Joe.
looked at me.
He looked
He was
at
scanning
me.
the horizon. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. Because Furiosa, we learned she's getting gas from Gastown. They're going to make their delivery, but she has other plans, and that's great too. We see this road. We know that a Gastown exists, and then she takes a detour, and her crew just trusts her. That she's like, "I'm not telling you
Yeah.
why. Just you trust
I
me.
call
All
it
right, I'll pass
Gastown,
it down the
Captain."
line." Right.
Yeah, pass it down the line.
That guy. Who is that guy?
Her black thumb, I guess, like her crew chief,
Yeah.
right?
But see, this is where I
There were a
think.
couple people in this movie where I was like, is that guy an imperator?
Yeah, right. Now that we know
Or a
more.
Praetorian, even, maybe.
Praetorian, yeah.
Mm.
But this is,
Pray
I think,
tell.
where Furiosa actually does make Fury Road better because it sort of deepens the impact of certain things. Where it's like we learned how a war rig and it's like accompanying cars and stuff would work. You see more details of that in Furiosa. So you're like, oh, okay, so we have this whole caravan and stuff, and we see
Why
how
it's
like
so
the war boys
dangerous.
work and stuff. Yeah.
We know better what pursuit is and lead and
And if
everything like that.
Yeah, if like a gang of someone tried to attack the war rig, we know how they would defend it and that kind of thing.
I believe they call them buzzards in this one. Those guys
Yeah,
with the
the
spiky
spiky-
cars.
The Russian
spiky
guys.
cars.
Yep. Yeah, so then that's a great setup too because we're detouring, we're going into enemy territory, but then her crew at least believes that this is a normal attack. Like they don't suspect that she's what do they say? But they have a funny word for betraying.
Oh yeah, you traitor'd him or something.
They traitored. Yeah, you traitored him. Yeah.
You
How dare you
traitor
traitor
him.
him?
Yeah, you scum. Traitoring scum. But yeah, so it's like the crew just defends the war rig as they would. So we get a really cool action scene with the buzzards. And then as Immortan Joe learns that there's something wrong, then Nux and his crew are riding with Joe on the Giga Horse and the Bigfoot. And, they got their whole armada.
We get the run to the vault. If Joe's thinking something's weird, he's checking.
Yeah.
True.
We get a Fort
Well, we
Knox
get-
vault.
His other son, Corpus
Mhm.
Colossus. They're not going to Gastown, Dad.
Oh, this
Yep.
little guy. I love him. You said he's gone, Jacob.
He unfortunately passed away, as well as the original Bullet Farmer also passed away in between these two movies. So the Bullet Farmer is played by a different guy who just
Right.
made look like the original guy.
Hmm.
According to the comic book, once Immortan Joe is overthrown, they do not kill that guy. He's still hanging out. He's like,
Oh,
I'll
that's
tell you
nice.
what my dad used to do. Just don't kill me.
Alright.
Here's how you
Yeah.
run the hydroponics.
Be nice to Colossus.
Yeah. So
I
he's
like
still
him.
around. Yeah.
We meet the wives again.
Mm-hmm.
Here is the most incredible detail that we didn't know. Furiosa deepens it.
True.
We get the woman who is a story woman. She has
The older woman,
a
yeah.
story written
Miss
all
Giddy.
over her, right?
Auntie or Miss Giddy, yeah.
Miss Giddy.
Giddy. And Miss Giddy, Jacob, I didn't pick up on this, but she pulls the old woman in Mad Max 1 with the shotgun moment.
That's
where
right,
she's like
yeah.
shaking and blows,
They begged her to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And
We
the
are not
comics,
things.
yeah, the comics
Yeah.
expand on that a lot too. Like Furiosa is assigned to the wives because Rictus is being weird. You're like, we need someone who can chill with the wives. So
Right. Well, we kind of saw part of that in Furiosa, right? Where she
Right.
He
was
was
going
weird.
to be a wife. Yeah.
right.
But then she somehow escaped being a wife and blended in and became a war boy.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah, but Immortan Joe gave them Miss Giddy because he's like, they're gonna get bored. Like I have wives, but like they don't want to be captive.
right.
So I'm gonna educate them and give them shit to do, which education leads to rebellion often.
Of course. It's beautiful. I love
Yeah.
it.
We also find out in Furiosa that if you like age out of being a wife, then you become a milker.
There's people from the common that throw themselves at that lift saying, I can be a milker, please take me up there too. It's like it's an
That's
interesting
right.
in the comics there's like that going
A
on.
better life than just being a poor commoner in the dirt,
Yeah, Megan,
scrabbling
man.
for water.
Right.
Yeah.
But all their philosophy of like our babies will not be warlords who kill the world, like a lot of that's coming from Angharad, the main wife who's the most
Yes.
pregnant in this. Like it's not Furiosa feeding them that. Like they're coming up
Right.
with this and constantly challenging Furiosa in the comic, like, why the fuck
Well-
do you work for this guy? And like it takes a long time for her to come around before she's like, you know what?
Wow.
Yeah, let's get you out of here. But it's motivated by the wives, which I think is really cool and makes them
Yeah.
stronger watching this movie now.
Well, what's so cool is that you have these 5 wives, which I'll read the names of all of them.
Please.
Yes.
But what's so cool is they could have just been like basically the extras, but each of them has their own sort of characterization in this movie. So by
Mhm.
the end of it, you're like, I know what each of
Well-
these women is about, kind of.
Yep.
The term for it in a lesser hand is a MacGuffin, Jacob. It's
Yeah.
the American Chavez in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse. I need to protect the girl. What's the girl's personality? She's the thing I protect. And you're like, oh, well, that kind of fucking sucks.
Right.
Mhm.
And like in
Yeah.
a lesser movie, like Angharad could have been like the main one that we get to know, and then the other 4 are just kind of like
Just
there.
don't
But
talk.
each of them has their own kind of like their own arc that they go through. But we have
Mhm.
obviously the splendid Angharad,
Oh,
who is Rosie
Shia LaBeouf's
Huntington
girlfriend.
Whitley. Shia LaBeouf's rebound after
Mrs.
Megan Fox.
Bumblebee.
Shia LaBeouf's rebound. No.
We have, and she's kind of the leader, and she's pregnant, and she has her arc.
We did
That's
all
like-
those movies on this podcast. I want to ask you guys a question real quick.
That's
Is
right.
it revealed that she's a robot? Isn't that the twist?
I
Whoa.
don't think so.
No.
Okay. One of them, there is a woman who's a robot.
There is
You
a
guys
woman
will
who's a
admit
robot.
So
Okay.
that's true. Yes.
But yeah, she's
Um,
like she's like due very soon, which you think is the ticking clock of we need to get out of here now
Yes.
because I don't want
feels
my baby to be
yes.
born here. Yeah.
She also has like a scarred up face, which isn't really explained, but you
No.
kind of can use your imagination of how like why her face is all scarred up and stuff. It's probably not good.
No,
Um,
and by meeting the sons and seeing that they're kind of disfigured and imperfect, like, and then Joe's reaction, we understand, like, oh, he really wants an heir. Like, you understand
he
why
wants
he's
an
being
heir
so
that's
drastic.
like a normal human that doesn't have any defects, which is really hard to do now because everyone is like mutated by Fallout and stuff. Right?
Yeah, and that's just
Rick just
communicated so
seems
clearly.
fine. He just has baby brains.
Well, he's
Exactly.
like he's like Blaster from Master Blaster.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He should have been
Um,
carrying Colossus around.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's a redo of that.
Yeah, that's Master. That they're basically Master Blaster.
They
right?
are. He said in this movie, he's like, you know
Oh.
what? I'm gonna separate Master and Blaster.
right.
Yeah,
Master runs Barter Town.
right.
No more
that's so
embargo.
Who
good.
runs Barter Town?
Yeah.
Thanks,
So
Joe.
all that's communicated really clearly. Yeah, Joe's takes this very seriously, the wives and all that. And
Yeah.
but yes, we have
We have the
Angharad.
splendid Angharad. We have Toast the Knowing, which is Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah, Toast.
Toast
What
the
a
Knowing.
name.
She knows. She's like the most knowledgeable with like guns and stuff. Like she's kind of the most useful
Mhm.
when they're like fighting people.
Yeah.
There's Capable, Riley Keough, who I have to always mention is Elvis's granddaughter. Yeah.
And may I mention Elvis's favorite car is what the Giga Horse is made of, two of them, 56 Cadillac or whatever.
Really?
So
Oh, yeah.
two of Elvis's favorite cars are making the Giga Horse, and you have his
That's so
great.
granddaughter in
cool.
this.
I didn't know that.
I could have
It's
10
crazy
hours
how,
of what cars were made how. Like, please make that content. But
that's amazing. Yeah.
but she's great. She has a more kind of an emotional arc. She's very
She has the arc with Nux where she
Yes.
befriends Nux and basically de-radicalizes him from this cult that he's in,
Mhm.
where a woman was nice to him one time and made him into a good person, basically.
Being a war boy is dumb. You're right.
you're right. You're one of my god's wives, and you're being
Yeah.
nice to me. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. I will turn on my whole religion for you, please.
I would too.
And it is and it's crazy how several of these actresses that played the wives went on to become bigger stars. Where she has Riley Keough has been on other stuff, and she had
Yeah,
that
she
show.
was in that Amazon show.
Fleetwood
I
Mac
couldn't
show.
explain that one time.
Mm.
She's basically on a show about a band that's very
Yeah.
modeled off of Fleetwood Mac. Basically.
Yeah, it's a lie. It's a young adult book based on a lie. You're like, what?
Okay.
Yeah. Daisy and the Six, I think it's called. or
Oh, I
That's
think you're right.
exactly what it is. Yeah.
So we have
Furiosa
Toast
and the
Knowing.
Five.
Yeah,
That's
obviously
right.
Zoe Kravitz is a bigger star now than she was in 2015.
Catwoman.
Who, Catwoman? I don't think
Catwoman,
so.
yeah.
I don't think so.
Daughter of Lenny Kravitz, obviously. And
Has a
Lisa
new
Bonet.
movie she just directed coming out. Don't Blink looks fantastic with her
Mm.
fiance Channing Tatum starring in it. So
Wow.
Whoa,
There you
she's
go.
married to Mr. G.I. Joe?
she dated him. Hey, she left Mad Max for Magic Mike.
Hey, I like that. I like that. Nice one.
Wow. So yeah,
Uh.
we have Toast the Knowing, we have Capable, we have the Dag.
The
Probably
dad.
my favorite name.
She's the rebellious one.
Yeah, she's the blonde one that's like very rebellious. I
Who's
guess.
She's
she
calling
from?
people
What's
saying they
this
eat
lady's
schlenga.
story?
Abby Lee. I don't know what else she's from. Her and Cheeto the Fragile,
Oh,
Courtney Eaton are probably the two lesser known, obviously, of the
Mhm.
tribe. But the Dag, yeah, she's the one that's like, he's probably a smeg that eats Schlanger. which is a great line.
In the comics, she has an Immortan Joe mask, and she'll walk around pretending she has a dick, like, "Hey, preciouses!" Like she mocks Immortan Joe and like makes jokes and shit.
That's
so she's
so
like
funny.
very much
And she
that.
kind of has an arc where she connects with the older lady when they meet the Vuvolini, where she gives her.
She becomes
talks
the
about
new seed lady.
seed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that all ties into Furiosa, obviously. And then Cheeto the Fragile, which is the one that's kind of like, let me go back. Like, I'm sorry.
Why did
like,
we do this? Our lives were good.
And so her arc is just overcoming her fear of, running away or whatever.
She's like Chucky from Rugrats. She's got to be brave.
Sure.
And she does eventually get that moment where she tricks Rictus at the end, So the least to do in this, but I think 3 out of the 5 I think are really well written. 4 out of the 5 I think have really good stuff to do. Cheeto a little bit less, but I think that's okay.
Cheeto
You need someone in that archetype, though.
She's fragile.
Yeah, she's fragile. She fits it. So, and it's true. We get one wife who's very pregnant. Like, we can't breathe. How many do you mean? And then we later find out when Max, after the big chase, which we'll talk about that, but it's like, there's 5 of you. Like, we don't know how many are down there until after that first chase. So
yeah. And the Splendid Anghart is kind of like his main wife, I guess, or the one he cares most about. And she's willing to obviously sacrifice herself to sort of make a point to Immortan Joe. And that's her arc, is that she, dies at one point, basically, or gets she gets in a wreck, and then they try to save her baby, right? And then, but he's like stillborn, and then that's when you get I had a baby brother. He was perfect in every way.
The organic mechanic, of course.
The organic,
yeah,
the organic mechanic. Again, I like the comics a lot. I think they're a quick read and they're fun, so I recommend them. Especially the Furiosa one.
Yeah.
It's really cool. But the organic mechanic is assigned to like monitoring ovulation cycles for Joe. Like, it's pretty weird.
When
like,
he puts
would.
the ear thing up to hear, he's like, no sound in there, boss. Doesn't sound good or whatever.
Gone
He's
awfully
like,
quiet.
It's very scary.
So yeah, I think the
basically, I
blood
would
type
guess
thing
that-
and all of this, the mechanic has a big role in Martin's empire anyway.
I would guess that Wasteland, he was like a doctor or someone with medical knowledge, and obviously that's a very useful trait to have in the Wasteland, because they, if you have medical knowledge, you're basically like super valuable to anybody because you can do so much,
Honestly, he probably got the best deal in Furiosa, like when he's like, so I don't need to ride around with Dementis and I can just stay here and eat and hang out with your wives sometimes. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Again, it's like the difference in leadership with Dementis, where like, would you rather be in this giant amorphous horde of people, or would you rather have a more structured society where you have like fresh food and stuff?
And he's basically like a private chef for like he's cooking food for Dementis rather than like providing medical
he's cooking
services.
Like human sausage and stuff for Dementis.
Human blood sausage, yeah. But yeah, so Joe takes his wiving seriously. So that's, now we learn the whole point. They would be MacGuffin, but these are full characters here. And then we get the Buzzards, and then we get Joe's team catching up, helping them defend the Buzzards, and then Joe's team trying to siege the war rig. And this is kind of our first act leading to the storm.
Let's say a little bit about I'm sorry. Yes, I was going to cut ahead. I thought Max had met the girls yet already. He has not by this point.
No, that's
right?
after the sandstorm. So
you're 100% right, because
she thinks she can lose us dead.
Rode up, like a scarecrow riding in and out on the car. Yes, you're right.
Nux's car crashes, and then they have the big fight scene where he fights Furiosa. Then Nux wakes up, and there's like a triple fight going on. They're chained together, which is all
chained together.
Yeah.
But the opening chase, I think it's just the amount of stuff with the Buzzards, how cool the cars are. We learn about what Witness Me is, and like we get so much backstory, even though it's like just an action scene. There's a lot of story happening, which is the strength of this movie,
Absolutely, and it's a perfect way to show that, because the one more boy gets like an arrow in the head. He's obviously about to die. He does the Witness Me, jumps on the car, sacrifices himself.
Mediocre Martsov.
Mediocre, yeah. So we get all the terms that they use and stuff. And you're like, okay, so these guys, their whole life's duty is to like go out in a blaze of glory at the end of their half-life.
And just a sideways glance from Immortan Joe is like the hugest deal.
It's worth it.
I love Slit in this movie. That he's really great. That actor.
That guy is
Slit.
great. Say his name again, Jacob. That guy who was from the other. I can't remember.
Well,
his
he
name.
was so he played Scrotus in Furiosa.
Yeah.
Same actor. Yeah.
But he's in a lot of the
Incredible.
behind the scenes, and it seems like he has a lot of love for these. Like he speaks more than anyone in the behind the scenes I watch from Warner Brothers. Like he seems like he really, really liked making these. So just
Oh sure. And
He
again,
made
George
two
Miller
X-Men
reusing.
movies.
Oh yeah, he was Stryker, Colonel Stryker.
He's like
a
he's
young
truly like
Stryker.
best friends with Nicholas Hoult, is what I read. I almost wonder if that's why they're on this together. It's so
Oh,
weird.
That's
Could
pretty
be.
cool.
But I do like how George Miller was just like, yeah, well, he's going to play Scrotus in Furiosa, and they're probably like, well, wasn't he already a character in Fury Road? And it's like, it doesn't matter. He'll look
We
different.
like working with him. He likes being here. That's all
Yeah.
we really need.
Even
so.
the gyro captain, when he sees him in the Beyond Thunderdome, like there's a look like you, but it's not really text, but it's like.
See, this time you're an
A nod.
airplane captain, not a gyro captain.
Bruce Spence, baby. The
And then they
best.
have a Bruce Spence looking guy in the video game cutscenes too, and I'm like, oh, look at you guys, just
Right.
slightly modeled
That's
after
right.
Bruce Spence
That's
type.
right.
So yeah, George does what he wants, and so
Yeah.
does Joe when he's in pursuit of his wives.
He's also got just in Furiosa, he had multiple actors playing two different roles. Like the guy that plays Immortan Joe in Furiosa also played like that one-eyed advisor guy to Dementis, right? That's the same actor.
mm,
And then
hadn't
also
realized that.
Pataki, which is Chris Hemsworth's wife, played two roles as one of the Fufalini and also the really scarred up woman in Dementis's
Mr.
horde.
Norton.
Mr.
Yeah.
Norton.
which
Mr.
that
Harley,
really
Mr. Davidson.
heck yeah. Yeah, that really spoke to me too. And that scarred up lady, and she's like becomes a main dude, and then the guy's not hanging Furiosa with her busted arm. She's like, "I got you, boss," which is like, is this a comment of like women not helping women when you should? Like, it's like
Maybe.
there's big
I thought
theming.
that's the woman who was like, I'm a mother too, that Mary Jabasi lets
That
go.
she spared,
obviously,
yeah. And then she
burns.
immediately, like,
She betrays
there's
them.
some comment there,
Yeah.
Mike. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
but,
think as a
yeah.
woman in this sort of society, you have to do whatever you can to survive because there's not that many. It's obviously a very male-dominated society.
We all
Immortan
can't
Joe.
become auntie-entity. It's like,
Yeah.
it's
Right.
like not a chance.
Yeah.
Like, no.
That's
when
why
shit
even the
gets
wives
crazy, you
have
got to
a-
improvise. Is what Dementis
Yeah.
says. Like you got to do what you can. But
Right, and even the wives have a better life than if they were just out in the
Well,
wasteland.
Furiosa has a great speech in the comic. I keep bringing it up, but she's like, "You guys you're taking this all for granted. Like out there is shit. It's shit. You don't want to
Yeah.
be out there." And they're like, like she's very much the way that out here everything hurts. Like that energy. She's like,
Yeah.
"Why are you taking this for granted? It sucks out there."
'Cause the good thing got taken from her, and she had to face the wasteland.
Right.
Yeah.
And so she's become cynical, and the wives help her have hope again. And that's kind of what
another
this
way
whole movie is.
Furiosa makes this movie better, by deepening the whole,
Those-
her whole arc.
Exactly. So, yeah, what a movie.
So Nux's car crashes. She goes into the sandstorm, right? There's a big,
Mhm.
there's a big sandstorm. What a lovely day.
She thinks she could lose us, Dad. She thinks we're stupid. She thinks she could lose us in there. Yeah.
It's like a bug. It's like a beetle, right? Is that what he's driving?
It's like a
Kinda,
it's like a
yeah.
hot rod deuce kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And she does lose them for a little bit, anyways. Like
Yeah,
in the sandstorm.
She's very good at driving the war rig.
yeah.
At a certain point,
I
there
don't
is a
think
wheel.
Victoria Jack taught her how.
Taught her Road War.
She knows Road War well, that's for sure. And
Yeah.
Why did we teach her Road War? She's so good at it.
Yep, and that sequence coming up in a bit is very much like the scene with her in chapter 3, the stowaway.
She does the
Coming up.
sniping.
But for
That's
now,
right.
yeah.
I also like, by the way, how her war rig on the door, it has like a bespoke thing with
Skeleton
her
arm?
Yeah, like it's a picture of her arm basically. So he's like, oh, that's her war rig. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a skeleton and it's pointing forward. Like that's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
all the
they
little-
have to stop because they have to. What,
The wives
refuel or
are-
something.
Yeah, the wives are dusty maybe from being in the hold. They're kind of washing off, hydrating. I think the engine's overheating a little bit, perhaps.
You can
But
see
so they're
it,
taking
yeah,
a break.
It's just like
We got throw some piss in
coated.
it.
They didn't have any
It was a
piss. That's
piss
the
boy.
problem. They didn't have
Yeah.
and
Piss
all their
boy.
war boys get killed in the storm or during the conflict. So it's now just Furiosa and just the wives. So
Right.
they don't have any crew really to worry about. Oh, you traitor'd him.
And Nux's
So-
car crashed a little bit back from them, so Max wakes
and
up.
Nux.
He's chained to Nux. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kind of
And so then
carries him, follows the
Yeah.
tracks to where the war rig
Basically
is.
buried, yeah.
He approaches them, and there's a sort of a standoff, which he has his signature like shot off shotgun, right? But it doesn't actually have any shells in it, so he's basically bluffing.
Well,
the whole time.
it misfires when he tries to shoot Nux's arm off.
Right.
And so then he just carries them. But I love this, that, again, communicate. We know it doesn't work, but he's using it to stick them up. And when
Yeah.
Furiosa finds out it's not loaded, the look she gives him of like, you motherfucker,
Really?
you know,
Yeah.
it's like, it's really great.
And even when he tries to shoot Nux's arm, that's sort of a reference to the first Mad Max, where at the end of that, he's like, you can cut through the chains, you can cut through your arm.
10 minutes to cut through the chains, 5 to your
Yeah.
arm. Yeah, your leg.
Um,
That's Saw. That was the whole
Is
inspiration
that
for
guy's
Saw.
name
Right.
Jack the Boy?
Jack
think
the Boy,
so.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Because he's their bait
So-
in Toe Cutter's gang because he looks like a normal guy.
Yeah. He's just a little kid. I don't know.
Jack the Boy.
He's like 40.
So,
yeah.
oh, they're cutting off the chastity belts too here. So they got the bolt
That's
cutters
right,
out.
yeah.
That's
They're
right.
rinsing
That's
off.
right. I forgot they had these on.
So
Yeah.
basically, he shows up. He just wants the chain cut off him so he can just go leave because he just wants to be Mad Max and wander the desert alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get in a
Again,
fight.
no
and-
dialogue. He just holds the chain
Yeah.
out. You know, like
Yes.
water. He says water. That's like the only thing he says. And you. That's
Yeah.
all
No,
he
it's
says.
mother's milk. And the look he gives them is like, okay.
Fair.
So that's when we get this big three-way fight where Nux
Mhm.
wakes up eventually, and then they're fighting. And then him and Furiosa, Max and Furiosa, kind of have to team up to fight Nux for a bit, even though they're not on the same team yet.
Right, and then
We-
they kind of
we-
are fighting over the gun. It's really great. There's not a bullet
Yeah.
chambered. Well, there's one chambered, so they lose the clip. They fire the one bullet, and then we have to get this.
Right.
It's so cool.
Can we take a break to talk about Mad Max real quick? Can we talk about Tom Hardy?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Nothing I would love
So,
more.
my question to y'all is it worth it? The fact that 80% of the production was slowed down by a man who refused to come out of his trailer. And I ask you, why was that? What was the issue? Jacob,
Well-
you said in the past he apologized for it, that he had a misconception of what the movie was. Was this a punishment to him to be Mad Max? I don't understand this.
I don't know. Well, the thing you got to know about actors is that sometimes they're kind of weird, right? A lot of them are very eccentric, hard to deal with at times. And so maybe, that's the situation there. But I know him and Charlize sort of had butted heads.
Which helps the
kinda
movie,
works,
I think.
Yeah, works
It
for their
does.
relationship in the movie. But I don't know why he wouldn't come out of his trailer exactly. Maybe that book will go into it more.
Yeah,
but,
and
I want to know.
I watch
Yeah.
a lot of behind the scenes, and they don't go into it explicitly, but there's a lot of mentions that, like, we kind of didn't know what we were in for. Like, even Charlize Theron, like, when we signed up for this,
Yeah.
like, we're shooting storyboards. So we're doing, like, a 2-second sequence that takes hours to set up, and he's like, and then just look over here. And it's like,
Right.
Yeah.
like, what am I doing in the movie? And before you have the extended CG and you don't know how it's going to cut together, you're like, I'm doing fragments. Like, what the fuck
Yeah.
is this? And I'm in the
And
desert.
Even
Jacob
Anya
said,
Taylor-Joy in Furiosa had
Yeah.
said similar things in interviews where she's like, yeah, I was in the desert for like 80 days and I didn't have a single line of dialogue. We're just shooting
Think about
things.
that.
Yeah.
think
it's
about
like,
that. You shoot for 3 weeks and your one line is water. Somebody goes,
You.
no,
but it's
mother's
all in
milk. You go,
George's head. that he
okay.
has it
And
all
that's it.
envisioned out.
You did
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
weeks of shooting, and that's what you got out of it. You're like, okay.
I
Yeah.
was hanging on a truck for a bit, but yeah, like Charlize Theron said, and anytime we would come to George with ideas that kind of bring character moments, she said, kindly direct us back to the storyboards. Like, I think it's a great
That's
idea, but
interesting.
if we're gonna just look at the storyboard,
She brought the shaved head.
Yeah.
smart.
That's something I learned that Furiosa didn't always have a shaved head, but that's something she brought to the character. And I think they just had different acting styles, her and Tom
Mhm.
Hardy. I don't know why he was like such a diva on set, sounds like, but he's just an eccentric guy. But I mean, you
Was-
think you would be happy that, anytime you say, okay, you can do like a weird accent in this movie, you think you would be happy, but
You're the star of a movie and it's Mad Max. Like this, you have to be around the age where that means something to you, I would think. I don't know.
yeah.
I know the
Well, I'll
shooting
tell you-
schedule got cut by 40 days at one point. So again, like who knows how they're shooting this and what, like, are you doing? You're not doing scenes. You're doing segments
Yeah.
of scenes, I would assume. So you don't
Yeah.
feel like I can't do the work. I can't work through the scene because there's nothing
Yeah.
but
Right.
shots.
There's not a lot to chew on for an actor where he wants to
Yes.
like, get all method and stuff. But and there was a lot of delays with obviously like it was unprecedented rain in Australia, which made it too green to shoot there, so they had delay, and then shoot in Namibia and all this stuff.
It's too dusty to even drive cars safely sometimes. You take delays for that.
Yeah.
Car malfunctions, tons of stuff.
But I will say my hot take is his performance as Max in this movie. I know Colin, he's a Mel Gibson purist. He agrees with everything he says.
Always will.
Loves
Always
him as
have.
Max. But my hot take is that I prefer Tom Hardy's Max. Not that I dislike Mel Gibson's Max, but I like what he's doing in this movie because he has so few lines. He's almost become like an animal because he's just wandered for so long, had no one else to talk to, that he's kind of lost his mind and he's gone nonverbal. He's just this
Mike's
grunting-
impression this entire time he's been doing is good because you're basically being a frog, Mike. You're being
Yeah.
like, yes. Like it's just like
Yeah.
the way he comes out,
Sorry.
he's like,
but it's almost like
it
he's
is- that's
forgotten
what it
how
is.
to talk to other people because
Yeah.
he's just been alone for so long that he's gone completely nonverbal.
Are you guys aware? I think I brought it up last time, but there's the fan theory that this Max is the feral kid growing up, just hero worshiping as Mad Max.
I did not know that. That's incredible.
I've heard
Well, they
that
call
theory
him a
before.
raging feral. Like, I don't think it's true, but I
Yeah.
love it. In my heart, I
doesn't
kind of
quite
prefer
work.
it.
They say keep
To
the
me-
mask on him because he'll bite you. They literally do say that.
He
They're
grunts
"He's
a lot."
feral."
Yeah.
I've heard that fan theory before, but it doesn't quite work only because he says in the beginning, like, I was a cop in the, I was a police officer, used to chase
Yes.
like motorcycle gangs.
I am
and
the
stuff
one
in
who
beginning
runs
of
from
the
the
movie,
He
right?
does
Also, the feral child
self-identify.
becomes the leader of the
that community. yeah.
settlement. Yeah.
So it doesn't quite line up, but I like what they're going for there. But
Because like when he has the long hair, when we meet him, it's like, yeah, you could have just been running around. You found a jacket similar to Max's, and then it's like,
I'm Mad
Yeah.
Max.
I'm Max.
But he found his
Like,
car,
That's
too.
me now. Yeah, like he's a hero worship. Who knows? But yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
hard
Yeah,
to
he
find the same
remembers it.
car.
It would have been sick if he threw a boomerang in this movie.
If you just, dude, Wasteland, give him a boomerang.
yeah.
Oh, shit.
What's funny is like George Miller, he doesn't care about like continuity as much, which is funny now with Furiosa, but before that, like he really didn't care about timeline or anything like that because
Mhm.
obviously Tom Hardy is younger than Mel Gibson was in Thunderdome.
Right.
But does this take place before Thunderdome, after Thunderdome? We don't know.
Yeah.
Here's
And I really
another
don't care to
thing-
find out.
Yeah.
And I never will. Here's another thing I got from the video game that I want to ask you guys about your Max while we're talking about this. Jacob, you were saying that thing about how it's Arkham style physical combat. It's those
Yeah.
dodgy,
Hit,
punch,
dodge,
heavy
counter.
punches.
Yeah.
It seemed so heavy. It almost seemed sluggish, dog.
Mm.
Like, is that what Max is? Is Max a huge, slow bruiser in your guys' mind?
I don't think, from my knowledge of playing the game, I don't think it's that heavy. It's just very
Okay.
animalistic. It's
Didn't
very
it look heavy, Mike? It seemed very slow.
might have
I
been
mean-
just how the person playing the game in that video played it or something. But for me, it
Yeah.
was pretty snappy.
The
I mean, he
car
fights a lot
combat
like
looked
Tom Hardy.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, the car combat is
Yeah.
incredible. But to me, the hand-to-hand combat felt a lot like the fight scenes in this movie, where it's very animalistic, quick movements and stuff. So
Okay.
I don't know.
This is
But
the
the
closest
combat, it's-
scene we could compare to that, I guess, because this is like the
Yeah.
one hand-to-hand fight too, really.
It's
True.
kind of a mix between the Arkham style and then sort of like Shadow of Mordor, where you're fighting these
Mhm.
different sub bosses and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
I have to
And
play the
there are
game to
boss
get a feel
fights.
for it. Yeah, and
Mike
like
and
I
I
saw
are gonna
the
buy it soon. Get ready.
get on sale.
It's on sale on Steam a lot because it wasn't. I don't know. It didn't do as well as a game that people thought. It was kind of underappreciated, but I think it's one of the better games of that generation. Just like an open world fun
It
game.
was so late gen. They should have waited for the PS5, dog. It was too late gen.
They also
even
did
George
the color
Miller-
palette thing, the wrong one,
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yeah.
But even George Miller was like, yeah, the game didn't live up to kind of what we were hoping. Imagine if he got what's his name? Metal Gear Solid.
Hideo
Oh,
Kojima's.
Hideo
Oh my
Kojima?
god.
Kojima, yeah,
Yeah.
because they're like really good friends.
They're friends now. He's in the walking
Death Stranding
simulator,
2?
or whatever that's called.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
thank
imagine
you,
if
Mike.
Kojima.
I make walking
made Mad
content.
Max.
You make driving content. We're not so
That's-
different, you and I.
I would have to say Hideo Kojima has been posting constantly about Furiosa and how much he loved it and stuff.
Really?
On Twitter.
Good.
So
That's cool. Okay.
I love it. Yeah.
Wow.
He calls him God George because he's the God.
Dog,
That's
direction.
incredible.
Shut the fuck up. I
Yeah.
love that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I will get the
so-
walking game too. But yeah, I love this fight. You know, bolt cutters are being used, the door is a shield, the constant switching of alliances, and yeah, it's well done. Shoot the bullets into the ground. Mad Max has to load it with his hip, like that's an actual tactical way to chamber around.
Right.
Like
Right.
So my cop would know, maybe.
my one,
Eventually,
yes, I
yeah.
didn't think about that. Yeah.
and so Max does try to commandeer the war rig, but he
Mhm.
starts to drive it, and then of course it dies because Furiosa has these switches that only works for her for it to actually work.
The kill
And it's
switches.
a
Yep.
2-engine system, we know from Furiosa as well. It's
Right.
an incredibly
One engine can go
complex
out,
driving
And it
those.
can
Yeah.
keep going. Yeah.
The comic book goes into where they got like there's a whole chapter dedicated to the war rig of like, here's where they got the Deuce Coupe, here's where they got the
Wow.
Volkswagen Beetle, here's where they got
That's
the two
amazing.
engines.
That's why I'm thinking Beetle. That little turret is the
That's on the
coolest
back.
part of it.
Yeah.
I fucking love it, dude.
The fuel
Yes.
pod. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why
like
I
they,
loved in Furiosa. There's so much more detail
them
about
build
how
it.
they built the war rig
Yeah.
and then just how they protect it and stuff as they're driving. It's like so cool.
yeah. So Max has switches on his car, and a lot of things. It's rigged to blow. Don't mess with my
Yeah.
car.
That's right.
So
So no one can steal his guzzling.
that's right. So he decides to wait. He's like, I'll wait for Martin Joe then. Fuck you. And she's like, yo, you're relying on the gratitude of a very bad man. But it comes to
Yeah.
what did she say that he actually gets on board? Do you
I
do you want
remember.
that thing off your face? It's the mask. It's
That's
like,
right.
yes,
Yeah, he's
remove
got
this,
the barrel.
please.
Yes, I do.
Well, I love the stuff also before that with Nux, where like Nux is like, we did it, Bloodbag. We can ask for anything we want. He's like,
That's my jacket.
You can ask
Yes.
for more than a jacket.
That's
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, that's really, really great. Oh man, yeah, that's incredible when he thinks that they've won, punches them in the stomach, leaves them out there.
Nice.
I missed for the first time I saw Tom Hardy's bare foot when Slit falls off the car and pulls his boot off. I'm like, he
That's
did pull
right.
his boot off. Like they set
Yeah.
that up too. I'm like, good job, George. But
It's
yeah,
the minutes
That's right.
later. Knocks him.
yep. So they knock Nux out and hit the road, but then we do get the extended disarm in reverse where she's driving and Max is like finding all the guns and
Yeah.
I love that. And she still had the knife that she didn't
Got the
reveal,
knife in the gear
which is a
shift.
nice
That's right.
character moment.
Pulls it out.
Yeah.
Could have done it, but I didn't, So we're starting to build a reluctant alliance out of necessity. She gives him a little file. He's still being an
Yeah.
asshole.
They've
Put
got
all
a
the
real-
guns in the bag, but
Yeah, they've got an alliance out of necessity, like you said, but they don't totally trust each other yet. But
mhm.
maybe that'll
But
change.
we got to keep moving.
Yeah.
I wonder if he reminds her of anybody.
You know
That's
what?
what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
And if you read the comic, maybe she reminds him of
boy
somebody.
Jack.
I don't
God,
know.
you smell just like Praetorian Jack. He's like,
Mhm.
what? She's like, nothing.
That's the cologne I wear. Yes, Praetorian Jack.
He taught me everything I know about road
Ooh,
war.
that quiet Englishman who was like a little bit chubby.
Mhm.
Yeah. Here's what I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
Because this also, they brought this up in that blank check episode, Jacob, and I felt this, and I want to verbalize this. I have often said that the sexiest modern movie ever made is The Last Jedi, when Kylo Ren and Rey touch hands
sure.
and
When they're
Luke Skywalker
force
finds
communicating.
them, and he's like, "Hey, knock it off!" Like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's something so raw and magnetic and incredibly sexual in that I love. The raw sexuality that is Furiosa and Praetorian Jack touching their heads together. And the
Yeah.
fact that they make Praetorian Jack, a chubby English guy, a fucking sex symbol. He is so fucking sexy in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It shows you. We've talked about it. Stop juicing yourselves, Zac Efron and everyone else. Stop what you're doing. You don't need it. You can create sexy moments by not just having two characters fuck and by not looking like Chris Pratt and Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, it's ridiculous.
Well,
Yeah.
one, having a cool leather jacket goes a long way.
It helps. Having oil over your face,
Yeah,
having
having
cool long
slick
hair,
back
a
hair,
face
some,
scar. It all helps. Yes.
And just that he was the one decent guy that she met.
Yes.
in her
Kindness
whole
is
life.
also sexy. Yes,
Yeah.
I
Yes.
agree with you.
Hey, I love that. I love that take. It is the era of the ugly guy with the amount of fanfic of the ghoul happening.
That's right. People
So-
are hot for the ghoul. Yeah.
Dog, if I get to the wasteland and I kind of maintain what I've got going on, people might think I'm like a 10 out of 10. You're right,
Mhm.
Mike. I'm excited to get there.
You're looking like a full life, you know? That's what they're
Yeah.
going to be saying.
Full life and all over here.
Yeah. That's great.
But yeah,
But-
I think again, Furiosa, the movie deepens sort of my perception of Max and Furiosa in this movie, where I'm thinking, is she reminded of Jack when she sees Max? They have a similar look, and that's why she sort of begins to trust him.
And this next
I don't know.
sequence, it's very much like Stowaway, where he's like, "Where did you
Yeah.
come from? You're a girl, but you're doing okay fighting. So let's get out of this situation
I
together."
used to have long, flowing, beautiful hair. I did.
Yep. Because we basically get that scene here when they go into the dirt bike passage. You know, Max is like, "Don't go in there." She's like, "I made a deal. Like, look, I'm supposed to be alone. So
Yeah.
hide. 1, 2, I might need you to drive. Like, I need to trust you. And
Right.
I don't want to, but I have to."
And I like when she's like, "What's your name?" He doesn't want to tell her name, so she's like, "All right, when I say fool, then you know to drive, right?" She starts calling him fool.
That's
Yep.
so good.
So we're trying to broker the deals with the dirt bikes. This is probably my favorite sequence of this movie, as this whole
Yeah.
dirt bike canyon chase. I really, really, really like this. And it's similar to the paragliding. People jumping over you, throwing firebombs. Like, they are very similar
Right.
sequences in that way. And two people starting to trust each other. It's
Yeah.
pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, they're shooting people, they're doing things. But she made a deal with these dirt bike guys to like let her through and then collapse the tunnel so that they can't
Be pursued.
be pursued. Yeah, but then of course they betray her because they're like, well, you know, we probably don't want to get onto Morton Joe's bad side.
You said a couple
We'll just-
vehicles, maybe. This is a
Yeah.
whole armada. We're finding out
That's
like they're coming from
right. That's a
Gastown. They're
great
coming
We just
from
want the
Bullet
gas.
Farm. Like,
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
all coming, and they're like, we don't want anything to do with this.
We just want that gasoline.
Right.
Do you think there's cabbages in there and like a little silver guy sitting on them?
Right.
I wish. Yeah.
The War Dog Memorial Cabbage Patch. It's somewhere in the somewhere in the Citadel.
Plan Mud Dog. What is it, Mike? We'll get there.
Swaddle Dog.
Swaddle
Yes.
Dog. I am the many mothers of Clan Swaddle Dog.
Clan Swaddle Dog.
Her and my initiate
Hey,
mother.
hey, hey.
Yes, Mary Javasa. I love Mary Javasa,
Yes.
by the way. But
She died on the third day.
yep, dang. We're getting there. So dirt bike
Yeah.
scene, pretty epic stuff. This is where we get the wives kind of helping out. We have Toast reloading the guns and like helping them in that capacity. And then Ang Herod gets stuck outside of the truck, and Morton Joe is like, "Oh shit, you know, my precious." She protects Furiosa, I believe. She opens the door to stop them from being shot.
'cause
She
she's
puts
like,
her body on
they're
the
not
line.
going to shoot me because I'm his prized wife.
This is
Shoot
really
the
great.
belly.
Yep.
Splendid.
And he had like shot her in the leg, like Max accidentally. So that's also like, oh, he's not going to forgive you for hurting his wife. They kind of leverage him into that.
Hurt the
But
girl.
That's right.
and
And
then she
is this-
almost gets clipped on the cliff, and then Mad Max looks and she's there, and he gives her that one of the best
I
reactions.
love that little.
All
Thumbs
right,
up, yeah.
not bad
Oh, that's what makes it so heartbreaking.
because
Yeah,
she went under the wheels.
that's
Did
right.
you see it?
And-
Did you see it? We turn back. We turn back. We keep going. Did you see
Mhm.
it? She went under the
went
wheel.
under the wheel.
And he just says it again. She went under the wheel. And it, honestly,
And
like,
Went under the wheel.
we don't know if that's true, but like, we know she dies, right? But it's like
Yeah,
He's
we
sparing.
can't stop. Yeah.
Yes.
right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we need to talk about the Nux scene, right? I don't know if this is before or after these events, but Nux, goes to Morton Joe and is like, "I can get on there. I can." Well, first he's like,
I think
"I'll bring
that's
her back
around the
alive for
sequence.
you."
Yep.
Okay, yeah, and he's like, "No, take this, put a bullet in her head," and gives him like his personal gun, right, his
Mhm.
revolver or whatever.
Is Donald
then-
Trump's signature gold revolver.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
And
the
then this is
music
the-
is swelling. It's feeling like this moment
is
for Nux.
one of
yeah.
my favorite moments in the whole movie, where it's like building to this moment where like, oh, Nux is gonna impress his father figure.
Mhm.
Immediately trips because he still has the chain too that he was chained to Max. So the chain gets caught, he trips, loses the gun, and then Morton Joe's like mediocre and drives off.
Yeah.
And Nux's his whole world is just crushed by this moment.
And he says later, it's like 3 times the gates were open for me. Like, because he was the pursuit vehicle and couldn't catch her in the storm. Then he did catch him with Max, and Max knocks him out. And then Morton Joe gives you his gun, and
That's
you
right.
still
This
fail.
is the moment your whole life has been building to, and you fuck it up, and
I was
you
not
just want to
witnessed.
die. You
Mhm.
just want to die with glory.
So he just curls up into the back of the Volkswagen for the next little bit here.
Yeah.
I think he pops out later, but oh yeah, because that's after this when they do escape. Unfortunately, Anghera does die, and they
Yeah.
escape, and then they're like, "We need someone to go to the back to be lookout," and that's when
Right. And then Capable.
Capable
back.
goes
Capable.
and
Yeah.
she doesn't
Capable.
tell on him though. She comes back to the cabin later and doesn't mention, "Hey, there's a war boy."
Yeah.
So like,
She
keeps that
kind of
secret.
just
This
bonds
is-
with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
We get his explanation of life of Jerry and Jimmy. What are
Oh,
their
Gary
names?
and Barry, his mates.
Oh, yeah.
Gary and Barry, me mates.
My tumors.
When they're
Mhm.
not eating on my trachea, I
Yeah.
know it'll be the night fevers that get me instead. You're like, what is
Oh,
this
boy.
war boy like mythology you guys have given each other?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's basically
Steve
infested
over
with
there is having
tumors.
the night chills.
He's dying of cancer, but he wants to go out so he can be awaited at Valhalla. He wants to sacrifice himself in a meaningful way.
Well, he should be McFeasting with the heroes, and they do call
Yeah.
it McFeasting.
They
McFeasting.
caught
Yeah.
Mike. This
Yeah.
was the first watch I ever realized it was Mick Feasting.
Yeah.
Mick Feasting.
Same. I had not realized, but I guess George Miller's like, of course McDonald's would exist even in the wasteland. It would somehow
The
I feel
survive.
that's
slang-
just
the
something
slang of
else
it
that
would, the
Morton
memory.
Joe made up.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's called McFeasting in
Yeah.
Valhalla.
Guzzolene, and we McFeast.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Okay, yeah, I'd follow this guy. That sounds fucking great.
Yeah. So
Something
it's
is bad,
exactly.
you say mediocre.
And like life is so. Never thought I'd do something as shine as that. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shiny and chrome.
It's
They have
so
all their own
painful.
slang. Yeah.
Right, to be a war boy, the only thing you can do is go to Valhalla, and then you'll be at peace, right? Like that's
Right.
the reality of it. It sucks.
It's a lot like the ideology of the Klingons in Star Trek,
Mm-hmm.
where they have to die in battle so they can go to.
Today is a good
their
day to
version of
die.
Valhalla. Yeah.
What a lovely day, Silvercore.
Stovacor. Yeah, that's right.
Hey,
So-
kapla.
Basically, the war boys are a lot like Klingons.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just realizing.
But we do get the Morton Joe. It ends up getting out of the Giga Horse. He's driving the Bigfoot, the 4-wheeler, Rictus's car, and they end up rolling
Yeah.
that. And it's implied that maybe either they run her over, or I'm not sure if the war rig or whatever. But they flip their car to try to avoid her. So
Yeah, he sees
they're
it
kind
when
of
he flips it. Because he
it's a
cares
pause
more
in the
about
pursuit.
his wife than like any of the
Anything.
war boys or anything. Like he doesn't care if he injures any of the war boys.
right. So it's a sick stunt that happens. But that's how we. And then everybody
And
else is
also
stuck
his
behind the
son, war
rubble.
baby. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
And he kind of
So-
rides over it because again, he's got like big dune buggy wheels, like
Big monster
Dementus.
truck. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So at this point, we do get a pause in the pursuit because they're trying to navigate the rubble. The whole war party is figuring that out. So we get a little bit of silence here for a bit, heading to the green place.
That's right. We also have, Bullet Farmer, People Eater. They're all in pursuit as well.
That's
The
right.
Bullet
they've
Farmer
been
has
introduced now.
like tank treads on his car, so we can kind of go over rubble and stuff too.
That was allegedly the most annoying vehicle to work with in production. It was like constantly
Oh,
breaking
sure.
down. The engine failed when they
Sure.
got it
It's
there.
like an ATV.
It's like a
Yeah.
custom built, like, there's like a company that did prototype fast military tanks. Some of them are like robot driven, they're like, can you
Ah.
build us this? It was like a custom piece, but it was a huge pain in the ass the whole time, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm,
But it looks cool.
It does.
And there's another tank tread vehicle in Furiosa that looks better. Not cooler, but like looks like it operates easier. I'm like, hey, you got another tank
Sure.
vehicle. You didn't give up on the dream. Proud of you guys.
Yeah. It's good for like off-roading and stuff, I'm sure.
No, because he's the one who
Better
can
than
drive through the
tires.
mud flats that we're going to get stuck in with the crows here.
Right.
So
That's
Yeah.
right.
serves a purpose.
Um,
to us. Look at that.
Yeah, so they go past this creepy place with crows, which another little detail that I love is the crow walker guys on stilts that are never explained. You just see them in that one shot, and it's like, what are those guys?
The
What's
way
their
that it
deal?
is, it's a nice establishing of totally still and then move, just as the war rig's going by, where you as a viewer are like, oh, what?
Yeah.
That thing's
What are
alive?
those?
Ugh.
Yeah, we
Right.
don't ever explain it.
Yeah.
But we do get stuck in the mud, and then that's when Nux gets more involved. They're trying to get the war rig out. They're pulling door panels to try to
Right.
get traction, etc. And then they're like, "Oh, he wants to help," and that's kind of where he's had his turn after. What's her
Yeah.
name again? The
Capable.
capable. After
Capable.
capable has kind of
Yeah.
gotten him to abandon.
She's just nice to him, and then he's like, you know what? Maybe I don't have to die and go to Valhalla. Maybe I
Right.
can do some good in this world and help these people.
And seeing like, oh, so you guys hate Immortan Joe, even though you're like his wife. Like, he gets a perspective too on his whole hero figure. Like it's able to crumble through that interaction, and
Yeah.
he's like, all
And
right,
even
maybe I'll just help them.
the first scene he's in when he's like, what's going on? Like they stole some things from Immortan Joe. And he's like, what did they steal? His prized breeding stock, his wives. So he doesn't even see the wives as people in the beginning. He just sees them as Immortan Joe's property because that's kind of what he was raised to believe. And then he realizes, oh, these are people and they have their own like thoughts and
Well, they even spare him because he does kind of pop out at one point, and they're like, "No unnecessary killing, you promise."
right. And it's
who
capable
killed the
that says
world?
that to Furiosa, right? And Furiosa's like, he's trying to
I have
kill
a chain
me.
around that tree thing.
Yeah,
It's just a tree. You can just say tree.
so
That tree thing.
yeah, they show him kind of mercy in that moment by not letting him get murdered by Furiosa too. So it's like,
Yeah.
but yeah, what's that tree thing? Never seen a
So
tree.
the war rig's stuck in the mud. They're trying to get it out. There's also that scene where Max goes back to kill some people and get their explosives and stuff, right?
Yeah, when we get Toast counting all the bullets. We only have 4 for Big Boy here.
That's
So she's
right.
being very practical with that. And then we know how many bullets they have when Max and Furiosa are trying to snipe the lamp because they're being pursued by the
Yes.
bullet farmer. And this is better for Furiosa, Jacob, because Mary Jabasa is a sniper. I saw Furiosa learn how to be a sniper. And then when Max misses 2
Right.
times and then it's like, fuck,
You do it.
you
You're
do it.
obviously
Like,
better than me.
Don't breathe.
yeah, I
Don't
love
breathe.
it.
And that scene reminds me so much of Furiosa and Jack
Yes.
when they're kind of working together. And it's like, yeah. love
That's
it.
one of my favorite moments, and it's definitely enhanced by Furiosa because just sniping is such like a thing that Jabasi and her daughter would be good at, and so I think that's
Yeah.
really great.
I do want to call out the moment Jacob's talking about, though, which on YouTube is called Max Strikes Back, where he just goes, I'll be back. And they're like, well, what are you going to do? He's like, if I'm not back in like a something, you go this direction. They're like, but what about you? He's like, just go or whatever. He comes back, washes himself off, and they're like, you're covered in blood. Furiosa says, it's not his.
He
Right.
even brings a boot for Nux, who's like missing a boot, right?
Yeah, he
So
sees
good.
Tsundere, throws him a boot,
Yeah,
you
just
know?
gives him a boot.
Gets a new steering wheel
Um,
for the war rig because we've been driving it with a,
That's right.
a monkey
The
wrench.
wrench,
wrench,
she
yeah.
turns it to the right, leaning over into Max, narrowly dodges when they're crashing into the wall there. It's
They work
incredible.
together to turn it, and then because Max's hand is stuck, they harpoon it, and the wives actually help Max. It's the first time the wives actively help Max is
That's
to get his
right.
hand free from the steering wheel. And it's like, we're becoming a team. I love it.
Yes.
Every time I
Yeah.
see this, I notice more little subtle stuff.
Right.
And the cool thing about that mother's milk scene is it's like death and life, kind of like life washing death away because it's mother's milk cleaning blood off of himself. It's like a big metaphor,
right.
Sure.
It's
I don't
cool.
like it though because I wouldn't want to get all milky.
No, I
Me
would not.
personally, but if
be
I'm Mad
taken back
Max,
Yeah.
in mother's mouth. Yeah.
I'd rather have blood on me than milk, I think.
yeah.
Agreed.
But yeah, we get the bullet farmer chasing after them, and
Sing brother heckler,
gets-
sing brother coke,
and he gets blinded, right?
Hold up the
Uh,
flare. I am holding it up.
Closer.
we get-
It's right in front of your face.
It's
One of the
in your
craziest,
eyes. It's like,
I can't
Yeah.
oh.
But one of the craziest shots in this whole movie to me is when he's just standing up in the car with the guns, and he's like,
I am the twin
blind, and he's
scales.
just like, yeah.
And we get
Like,
the first like
so epic.
score. It's like an actual song. It's like that
Yeah.
operatic, like, it's like the
Just like they made
non-Hulkenberg
this-
score.
Yeah, they made this tertiary villain character like have such an epic scene where he's just like, "I am the scales of justice" or whatever he says.
And he's just firing blindly, literally. Justice is
Yeah.
blind, funny. And then we don't even see how they die, though. There's just like an explosion in the distance when Max leaves. Like,
Right.
what a cool
It
idea.
was also funny he's just firing blindly when Morton Joe's like, "Don't injure my wives, like don't shoot at the wives." And he's just like, "I'm the bullet farmer. I do what I want. I shoot bullets."
I'm a wild card, baby. And he was
It's kinda
complaining
Mayor
too.
Dementis. Yeah, the bullet farmer's
Yeah.
like, they're crazy.
All this for a family squabble. Like, he thinks it's
All
stupid
this for
anyway.
family squabble. What a
Oh,
Yeah.
babies. Yeah. So we do get steering wheel. We get the vehicle unstuck. We need to cool the engines. So that's something Nux is working on. He's like, oh, I can do this and that. They're overheating.
You
So
Black Thumb? Yes.
he's a gear. No, what does she call him? A rev head. He knows
A
this
rev
vehicle.
head. Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
right. You're a rev head, aren't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
Um,
Love it.
and then we get going, and then this is where we do finally get to that's bait.
That's bait.
Exactly. And it's Valkyrie, which is better from seeing Furiosa now.
That's right.
But a
So we
naked woman in a
finally meet-
tower screaming for help. But Furiosa
Yeah.
knows what the deal is.
That's
Stay in the war rig.
But even if I'm a lone psychopath, I am sitting in my car going like, what's the situation here? Ma'am, how did you get up there? What
Yeah.
are you doing?
Yeah.
Put your clothes on.
They're
Well,
right
basically, If
there.
you're smart, like if you're Max just wandering in the wasteland, you don't really stop to help anybody because obviously it's going to lead to some sort of trap.
Unless you need
Unless you're a
gasoline
gyro.
and you have to. Or have a gyro.
Yeah. Unless you
Um,
get your car stolen. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's then I have to do it. But otherwise, yeah, you wouldn't stop. You don't buy that.
No.
But then we get I'm Furiosa, many mothers, someone is my initiate mother.
Clan
Mary
Swaddle
Jabasa
Dog.
is my mother, swaddle dog. Yeah.
And
Incredible.
then we meet the last of the Volvolini, right? Because the rest of them died off or whatever. And this is sort of the low point for Furiosa because she learns that the green place is no more. And she has that shot where she's just kneeling in the sand, like in everything,
And even
everything's coming to
the
a head.
reveal, like the green place, and then the camera slowly starts pushing in on her, and you hear characters on the left and right. Oh, it was gone. The earth went
that
sour. Then
creepy
the
place
crows
with
came.
crows. Yeah.
But like none of that matters.
We shouldn't have left. We shouldn't have left.
Mm-hmm. We shouldn't. Yeah,
She
and
snaps. I mean, this is the moment where she could become Mad Max. I think that's what they're saying here,
then.
right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and this is better for Furiosa. I felt at least 10% more sad because I've seen Furiosa. Like it was a little
Right.
bit more powerful. But this is
Just
what
knowing that
favorite
she's
shot.
basically her whole life has been trying to get back to the green place, and then it's been 15 years, and she finally gets back, and it's no longer a thing.
Exactly. Place of abundance. a
Charlize
lot
Theron
of
is-
shit.
How old in your minds in this movie?
Charlize,
30-ish.
she was I think mid
Mid-thirties?
30s when they shot it.
She's a little older than that.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not sure why.
40.
15 years
45
she's been
maybe?
away.
She's a mom. I mean, she,
The character.
Well, now
though, or
she
the-
might be 45, but 9 years ago she was probably like 36 or something.
yeah, I guess
I don't
so.
know.
I'm looking. It's important information. The audience demands to know.
I wanna know.
She's 48, so she would have been like 39, maybe
Okay.
37, 38 during production, like
I
principal
still gotta-
photography.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that makes sense.
But the character's probably in their mid 30s. You'd think somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But this is
Well, it's
the most
she was
powerful
gone
moment.
15 years canonically from when she left the green place, right?
So she's probably
Um,
technically 25 then. Like how old was she
Yeah,
when
it
she was
seems like it
taken
would be
10 years old?
longer, but yeah.
Again,
Again, the
continuity doesn't
wasteland
matter.
ages you so much.
Just ask
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah.
yeah, the wind scar.
Right.
Old
Fair.
Ben's out there. Have you been to the Citadel?
hmm
All right, old Ben. You and your droids.
Yeah. Right.
But like the timeline again never made sense in Mad Max because in the first Mad Max it's not even the apocalypse yet. It's just kind of like society is breaking down. And
I
then,
saw the
like,
best tweet ever, Jacob, recently, which was, can it be considered the apocalypse if you could still go to the store and buy ice
Get
cream?
ice
He
cream,
picks up
yeah.
ice cream for their family.
He lives in like an apartment with his family. His wife plays saxophone for him.
Mhm.
They go on a vacation in the middle of the movie.
He's like, I'm stressed out about my job. Can I have
Yeah.
some? He asked for
Yeah.
PTO.
Yeah.
He does.
It's like,
All
come
right, I
on,
gotta stop by
man.
the store, get some ice cream first.
There's a
And
great
then
ice
With
cream shop
teeth?
down the
No,
way.
There's money. We use money.
Yeah. But
True.
between Mad Max 1 and 2, which in real life was like 2 years, right? But that's when the apocalypse happened and an unknown amount of time happened, and then now everything civilization is gone as we
the
knew.
10 years after the second Civil War that is very quickly coming in America, it's gonna be exactly like Mad Max 1, where you'll still be able to like drive on roads and like have things, but you'll just always have to have a gun on you and just like
Well-
shoot anyone who comes
Yeah,
near
there'll be
you.
roving
basically. That's
motorcycle
fine.
gangs.
Get your leather jackets now,
Yeah.
Right.
while they're cheap.
It's honestly
like, think
kind of the
about in,
world I live in out here in California, honestly.
Yeah.
Be scared all the time. Stay in your car.
I feel worried when I'm in Texas more because people are bad drivers, but I'm like, the likelihood of you having gun, just stereotypically speaking, is much higher than LA.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But it's bad either way.
But I think about like in Thunderdome when you meet the Lost Boys, it's like how long has society been gone for that these kids don't remember anything about society?
Dummies don't
They're
even
just
know how to
taught
read and shit. What's going on
Tomorrow
here?
Morrowland by their elders who left.
Mrs. whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So you
yeah,
just kind of
like,
have to like not think about it too much because it doesn't matter.
like, are they children of people who survived a plane crash and just populated that area, and then there's a second generation? Like, how long have you been here? Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I guess
to
all
think
the
of.
adults left to like find help or something, and so they just left all the kids there. I don't know.
But like, you were on an
We've been
airplane. You
watching
weren't this
Fallout.
stupid, 5 years ago.
We've been watching Fallout. We've been watching Mean Monkeys. We're watching so much post-apocalyptic stuff lately.
Yeah,
That's what. Yeah, it's
Can't
that's
wait.
what culture was in culture right now
Can't
because
Can't wait. I
coming.
hope we're in the monkey one. I'll be
I
honest
hope
with
we're-
you guys. I'll take that over.
I'm gonna get
either.
monkey
in the
flu
monkey
and not
one,
be able to talk.
Most of humanity died out from a
I don't think
virus.
a bomb ever goes off, though. Taylor
Well,
says
but,
there is one.
Taylor-
I don't
Worldwide
trust. I don't
pandemic.
trust what Charles Neston thinks happened.
That's true.
Yeah.
Which one?
We might be with the underground mutants. So
Just let me be in the zoo talking. I'll like make paper airplanes for the apes.
Yeah.
And just feed me. Leave me alone.
just don't make me
Yeah.
like a stuffed mannequin in the zoo. Like,
Just
No.
don't ever
like a
hold up a
museum.
baby doll to me that says "Mama" and then have a shocked look on your face.
But do give me
Yeah.
a gun and 50 rounds of ammunition and a horse.
Absolutely, I heard that.
I'm pretty good with these. So Furiosa says 7,000 days plus the ones I don't remember, which is 19 years plus or minus the ones she doesn't remember. So
Interesting.
continuity doesn't matter. But this is like the
And
big
Mary
moment.
Jabasa died on the third day.
Yep. So that's all fine with me now, seeing Furiosa again.
Which
But
again, so that motorcycle chase in the beginning of Furiosa took 3 days, which, like you said, it takes less time to cross all of Australia.
And
in
none
3
of
days.
these
and we could
people
ride
can
for
find an
160 days in the
ocean.
desert. Where are you going
Just
for 160?
drive towards the edge of the continent. Find the ocean.
That's the great emptiness or whatever they call it, right?
It will help. Whatever,
The
even
silent
if it's
sea.
polluted and salty or whatever, it has to be better than the sour earth that you all keep talking about. It has to be better than the dust.
That is funny because they do mention too with the motorcycles we could ride for 160 days. It's like, but 3 days, like where you're gonna not need to go
Well,
anywhere in
maybe
3 days.
Maybe the
Just
oceans
circle.
You'll
dried
find
up
the ocean.
because of the
Hey, no,
nuclear
there's an idea.
war. The oceans dried up, so now the whole planet is just a big desert.
Right.
Or much
It could
less
be.
water. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. But this is her moment. Like, yeah, will she become Mad Max or will she not? And Max is realizing this. We get some great reactions of him to her. He's staying in the truck throughout all this. This is very much her moment.
But he understands it, Mike. You're so right to point this out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's only
Yeah.
2 shots that cut back to him, and then we fade to black, like, and scene, like, on Max digesting what she is when she's yelling in the thing. And he's like, look, if you're like me, you run from your problems forever, and you go fucking crazy. You guys are about to do that. Or
Yeah.
you turn around, and it's very simple writing, but face your problems head on, deal with them. Because you
go
can't,
back.
no matter where
We're
you
gonna
go,
take
there
these
you are.
bikes. You know, one of those bikes is yours, fully geared up. You can come with us. I don't come with people.
I'll make my own way.
hmm
I make my own way.
He's low-key making a little map
Okay.
for them, though, and he puts it in his pocket
Yeah.
when she comes over.
He does. That's
Yeah.
right.
But again, this so knowing what we know in Furiosa, this whole plan
She
to go
sees
back
Jack
to
in
the
that.
Citadel, we see something similar because that's Dementus's plan is to lure Immortan Joe out of the Citadel so that he can take it while they're going to Gastown, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you would think that
So-
she would remember that and be like, "Oh, we could take the Citadel."
Well, right, because the Morton Joe is out of there, but they've just been like, the wives don't want to be there, whatever. It's
Yeah.
like, it's a whole thing, but we decide to face him head on, you know? Kaboom. Oh, we have Nuts
wanna
too.
do it.
He's returning our property like he's supposed to. We have cover, right? Kaboom.
Yeah.
We get the finger point moment.
They'll
which I
kill
could-
us when we get there. No, they won't. We have a war boy with us.
Yeah.
Right.
And yeah, we're going to do that. I like that the Vuvolini are all on dirt bikes. It's like, did you steal those from Dementis after the war? Like, you know,
Probably somebody. This
Kinda
is
neat.
one of my favorite moments in rewatch that I've ever seen, which is the war rig takes off. They're going for it.
hmm
Cut to Morton Joe and his camp. They're out of their cars. They've lost track of him. Morton Joe, he's sitting out and he's humming a beautiful song to his crew while he's like sharpening his blade. They're all having downtime. Most of them are asleep. Then
Yeah.
the spotter goes like, "War rig, it's the war rig," and you get the great Morton Joe line of,
They're heading to the citadel. They know it's unprotected.
That's really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's going to be our big
what's-
Act 3.
"It's
Yeah.
so funny."
Well, what's so funny about this movie is that in its like simplest terms, it's basically a movie where they drive one way for a long time and then go back to where they came from, and that's the whole movie. Is them just going out and back.
The
They're going to
ultimate car
pick up their
chase, he called
friends.
it.
Yeah. They're going to pick up their homies and drive back to their house.
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, they take the Vuvolini.
How did she do this without the star map?
Oh,
I don't know. Did she
She
use the
just
star
went in
map?
one direction. She was just like that.
she said we
scene
go
is right.
east, and she told
Yeah.
Jack we're going to go east
We
for
go
3 days,
east.
take the bikes over the dunes, so it is east
Okay.
of the Citadel. So
Right.
spent a lot of time thinking about it. I thought that what if somebody found her arm and used that to destroy the green
Mike,
place?
that's the comic I want to read. That's
Right.
fucking awesome.
Because
They
it
just
is
find
her
a
left
star
arm
map
that
on
she
a severed
loses.
arm. Right.
What's
That's like a Star Wars movie.
That is Revenge of the Sith, yeah. Or no, the
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker. We're gonna use this map on a knife.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, map on a knife.
Don't remind me. Don't
One
remind
of
me
the
of that
most
movie.
classic pieces of writing ever. Map on a knife. Talk about something that makes no sense.
Map on an arm is
Uh-huh.
what we're talking. Let's talk
yeah,
third
so they-
act, yeah.
Yeah. So they head back the way they came.
This
And-
is the best action sequence of all time. From this moment of they're trying to take the Citadel. It is one action set piece that finishes off the entire film. Is basically what we have to talk about.
It's
right?
the end of Road Warrior times a million. Like it is
Yes.
that
Yeah.
chase with a tanker, and it's incredible. We get the
Right.
polecats. Yeah. This is the whole third act.
People
is
are
an action
jumping
scene.
between vehicles. The Lancers are going off. People are
The
springing
women are
back and forth.
helping. The old women.
We've said nothing about the Doof Warrior. The Doof Warrior is going insane at
Warrior.
this point. He is
Again,
just.
If I could
It's
be
just
anything
happening,
in Mad
yeah.
Max Land, I would want to be the Doof Warrior. Let me just
You
chill
with
out,
that
play
face,
some
Jacob.
music for the troops.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind being a drummer. You know, they
Drummer would be good too. Yeah.
they don't get the wind in their face. That'd be kind of chill.
But just to be the person that like plays music to like spur on the troops and not have to fight and like die and go to Valhalla. Like, let me just
Yeah.
play the music, you know?
And George Miller's inspiration of like, oh, they've had buglers and drummer boys in the military, but if you have loud
Yeah.
engines, you need something even louder. So it's just a practical
Yes.
choice that it's an electric guitar and a wall of
I
speakers.
don't know the exact moment in this entire sequence here, but we get the payoff of one of my favorite pieces of writing in this entire movie, which is Jack, Jesus Christ, I called him Jack. Max has been visited by the spirit of the little girl this entire time we talked about it. Every
Yeah.
time she throws magic at him and he catches it in horror. It's this sort of like curse that he's, rejecting Mike. He puts his hand up. We
Mhm.
get the payoff that he sees
That's
the little
right.
girl right as he's shot and an arrow goes through his hand into his head. It goes into his head.
But he catches
He
most of it in
falls
his
back.
hand.
Yeah.
We think he's dead. It paid off the gesture. Who writes these details? Who can think out? I mean, I know you guys said there's other people on it, but George Miller is just, he lives and breathes this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. The devil's
He's
in the
the God
details,
George.
and all hail Satan,
He's God
George Miller,
George.
God Miller. Yeah.
Saint Miller. Yes, the saint.
Saint Miller.
Let me fix your car, Saint.
Yeah. It's
Um,
incredible.
Yeah.
It's
Also-
like there's so much
Yeah.
going on with Vuvali. Like Valkyrie has a really sick moment where she's using the same rifle that frickin' Truckman Jack uses, or very similar,
Yes.
like kind of lever action frontier rifle, which is very cool.
Yeah.
She
the-
One of the
the
girls
moment with
gets
the-
taken, but
two
also
of them get taken, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, Cheeto or whatever. What's
Toast
the
the
nervous-
Knowing gets taken for a bit,
Toast the
right?
Knowing gets taken, and then
Yeah.
the depressed one is also like
Cheeto
take
the
me,
Fragile.
take me too.
Yeah.
Oh, to like
yeah.
trick Rick. That's her act of
Yes.
deception, yeah.
But
But yeah, we
this
get the
moment with
polecats, the
old lady
lawnmower
and,
guy.
the
Yeah.
dad.
Yes,
And
Yeah.
that's
she just wants to hold her seeds. She just does that
got
like
that bag
zombie
of seeds.
catatonic look.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What? Yeah. So
Well, yeah, I'm just trying to think of highlight moments, or like, you know, it's a lot
It's
of people
impossible
jump
to talk
between
about the whole
vehicles,
thing.
but
just
we
say
do.
what are your favorite parts? It's just everybody
Well,
jumping around. It's
I do
incredible.
want to
Yeah.
say the hand thing, the storyboards, when they were talking about making those, they had the hole in his head as early as like the storyboard days. So George knew that he was gonna have a little hole in his head from the arrow for like 20
crazy.
years.
yeah.
It's wild. And that's the hockey mask guy, I think, that then stabs Furiosa.
Incredible. Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
With her very
I
own
like the
knife.
That's right.
Rictus Erectus moment, basically, where Nux, and this is Nux's, the conclusion of Nux's arc, where he is now helping them, and he sacrifices. He finally can sacrifice himself, and he's awaited in Valhalla, but he's doing it for the right reasons instead of the wrong reasons, right? And he, Rictus Erectus, the strong but dumb son of a Morton Joe,
Blaster.
gets on their thing and like rips the engine out of the car, right?
Mm-hmm.
And is like smashing it and stuff.
Says
and
his
then-
name as he's doing it. He goes, Rictus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they're going back
It's
through the
very surreal
pass,
looking.
and they're
Right.
going to try to use the war rig to
And
kind
so
of
he's
block it
gonna-
off.
Yeah, so he's gonna like hang behind and like collapse the the tunnel or something, right?
Yes.
The initial
remember
plan was to
correctly.
use the fuel pod to explode it.
Yeah.
And then the
You
engine
go ahead. I'll come
complicates
across.
things.
Wink, wink. You're like, Nux, there's not a chance.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's the whole structure is going to the canyon to get to the narrow passage to block it off from them, and then that's the sacrifice he makes. We get the witness me points just to one finger to her, not Valhalla. He
Witness
points.
me.
They're all watching,
She-
but it's specifically for her. Yeah.
He loves her.
She witnesses him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he saves everybody. He helps them, the remaining survivors, escape and get back to the citadel, and it's incredible.
Meanwhile, Joe, Jesus Christ.
Oh yeah, the
Minx
payoff.
and Charlize are on the Joe, the
Giga
What do you
horse.
keep calling it, Mike? Yes, the Giga horse. I
Joe's
love
car.
that much.
It's the
They
Giga
get the girls
horse.
back. Charlize gets her revenge. This is a moment again that I guess is the payoff for the original backstory of "Remember Me," meaning I was one
Well-
of your brides.
No, but
yeah,
the
I'm
way
trying
I
to
see
figure out
it
what
now,
that means.
especially
Yes.
after Furiosa, is that this is the moment. I don't think Morton Joe realized until this very moment. Imperator Furiosa is that little girl that I traded Dementus for
You
way
bought
back.
me.
And
I
she
remember
never
you bought me?
spoke, so he didn't know her
Right.
name was Furiosa. She was Little
No,
D.
Little
It's
D.
Little
He
D.
never
Yes,
connected that
D.
Little D was Furiosa until this moment when she says "Remember me." And I think he finally realizes that.
Yeah.
That makes
So
it
that's
kind of
what
badass.
That's kind of what I think about it. But it's similar
love
to the
it.
Dementus moment when she finally goes back to Dementus and he's like, "Oh, Little D, I remember you."
Little D.
That's true, because it's like I always wondered what remember me. It's like, yeah, you work for me. Like, of course I remember you. I've been chasing you this whole
It's
time.
a strange line. Yeah.
But I think that's a
So
moment
it does
that
make
makes more
sense.
sense now with Furiosa that
I
we
can
can
see
understand
that.
it. Yeah.
But it's so badass though. Hooks his mask, gets the
Yeah.
wire tangled up, rips it
rips
out.
his mouth off.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh man.
And then the war boys see that Morton Joe is mortal after all and can be killed.
Yep. And then, we go to the citadel and we kind of parade his corpse around. They hey,
Yeah.
look what we got. And
Oh, we didn't talk about the other Max. My name is Max.
Oh my gosh, yes.
My name.
One of the other greatest pieces of setup and payoff. I've always sung the praises of this, but he's been a blood bag. We know from the first 5 minutes he's O-type. And then we see him, even after he cuts off his chain, he keeps the little, tube from his, blood transfer to Nux. He keeps it on him the whole movie, and then he uses it to give her a blood transfusion. It's freaking
Right.
brilliant.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to give
What's that-
anything.
What's the noise she's making? gurgling. She's choking on her own blood. He stabs her. She does that death rattle or whatever. She'll still not make it. She needs the blood.
No, and even
So
he's like,
good.
I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. Before he stabs her, he's like, I'm so sorry.
That's right. I'm so
Right.
sorry.
But and like again, it's poetic as all hell, and I didn't connect this until now, but it's like he goes from not wanting to give anything to anyone, be a part of anything, being forced to give his blood, to then willingly giving his blood to someone, like giving
so
of
much
himself
poetry.
to save another. It's so good.
And again, I think this is the same arc that Max has kind of in every movie, except for the first one, basically. But Road Warrior, Thunderdome, he goes from not wanting to be involved to reluctantly being involved to like being the hero by the end of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And saving the day. He does that with the Lost Boys in Thunderdome, where they're like, "You're Captain whatever."
I'm
He's
not
like, I'm
Captain
not fucking
Jack.
Captain whatever.
Mhm.
Captain Walker.
Yeah,
Captain Walker and Mrs. Walker. That's right. This showgirl.
But eventually he basically becomes their leader and is like, okay, you're a bunch of kids unsupervised. I guess I'm going to have to be your leader as the only adult here. And
Give
Guess
me
I'm
all
gonna
the
have
bullets.
to fuck all of you.
No,
Like, what?
geez.
No. Oh, right. Never mind.
Rictus, get out of here. But it is very much he's becoming human, Max, in this one, right? He's goes from being an animal, he's muzzled, he slowly becomes more human.
Yeah.
He
He doesn't even have a name that
participate.
he's willing to share. And then finally he's like, Max, my name is Max.
Dang, Furiosa chose to be mute in her movie too. Hold on a minute.
Max, my name is Praetorian Max. He's like,
Yes.
really?
Because I think it's
I had
just
a
smart
brother.
to be.
That's why I
mute.
was out here, actually. I'm here to see if he's okay.
His name was
Yeah.
Jack. His name was Jack. Yeah.
His name was Jack.
Man, Jack.
Jack Rockatansky.
Jack,
that's a
you
cool
probably
name.
know him by his other name. Jack Rockatansky. No,
Yeah,
I
wow.
no. I don't
No,
know
that's-
anybody.
Yeah, because she gets pretty roughed up on the Giga Horse fighting Morton Joe's guy and stuff. So, he saves her life. And then even when they like stand her up to say, look who killed a Morton Joe, like she needs to lean on Max. 'Cause she can barely
Yeah.
stand in that moment.
Now, is this the best shot that has ever ended a movie? That literally they're loaded up. Charlize looks
on
so
that
weak.
platform.
It's the platform is going up. She looks out to the crowd. The turn, he's disappearing. He's gone. The platform envelops the whole frame. It's all black. She's
Mhm.
ascended. It's over.
He,
I mean,
he
it
disappears
is
into the crowd. She gives him a little nod.
beautiful.
They have a little moment, right?
Yeah.
They have a little nod. That's why I sent you
I
guys in
remember
the
the
in the
Road Warrior.
Normies chat. In that
Mhm.
moment, do you think she was thinking of our boy Jack?
Yes.
Like
I love it. I love it.
made it
The
to the
life they
green
could
place.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of it. I think even in that dirt bike scene interaction, like, we're working together. They're shooting out the windows past each other, covering each other's back, very much like her and Jack were doing in Furiosa, It's like,
And again, just
Yeah.
like in every Mad Max movie, at the end, he has a chance to just settle down and stay with the community, and he chooses to
can't.
go back to wandering.
yep. And we'll hopefully get again, that's why I would rather go forward than get a prequel. Like, where did he go
Yeah.
next? Just do that.
Well,
right?
the thing they bring up on that Kyle Buchanan brings up on that podcast, Jacob, is he says he interviewed one of those other screenwriters who said the only thing that will ever bring Max peace is returning to the grave of his wife and child, and he will never do that. And you're like,
Wow.
God, that's so fucking incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Killed
crazy.
by Toe Cutter. What if
God.
Toe Cutter? Well, Toe Cutter dies in Mad Max 1, right? But if Morton Joe is just Toe Cutter in the future,
Yeah.
No,
I'm
Morton
sure
Joe is
somebody's throwing that
Colonel.
out, too.
The comic has Morton Joe
It gives
origin,
his
and I own
backstory.
that one. Yeah,
Okay.
his name is Colonel Joe Moore, More, because get it, he wants more, But
Sure.
they have a whole thing of how he finds the Citadel and how he founds Gastown and
And so he knew like the People Eater and the Bullet Farmer and
the
stuff.
People
before, and
Eater. The Bullet Farmer is his military buddy named Kalashnikov, and the People Eater is this guy they capture. They call him the Fat Man. This guy they capture, and they're going to kill him. And he's like, "There's a Citadel. It's got cool shit. I'll tell you where it is." And because he told them where it is, he then
they
becomes the
didn't kill
People
him.
Eater. They're like, "Hey,
Ah.
cool," and then he
Call
gets
me the People
Gastown.
Eater. I want that to be my name. Like I want to
Well, it's
be
like-
known for eating people.
Now that we're not going to murder you, what do you want to do? Can I have Gastown and eat people?
Yeah. Can I wear a
Sure,
suit
man.
with the nipples cut out?
You said you were an accountant before this. I don't care. Nipple suit's fine, but you were an
Yeah.
accountant before this?
But
Okay.
I eat people
yeah.
now.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Keep the books and eat people. But anyway.
Love it.
They cut a finger off of their homie. They put it on a monitor lizard with a rope tied to it, and the lizard climbs up the citadel, and that's how they get the ropes to climb in at night and take it over.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. So
I gotta read these, dog.
Australian
Yeah.
nature. Definitely read them.
I learned in Furiosa to watch this video game. Now I'm learning in Fury Road. I gotta read all these goddamn comic books.
Yeah.
They're really
Jeez.
quick, less than an hour.
No,
they're
it's
pretty
honestly
quick.
Interesting. So there's other people at the Citadel when Immortan Joe found it, and they took it over from them.
Yeah, I guess this
Where
could be
was it?
slight comic corner. The guy said, "Oh yeah, they got everything there. They got water. There's some green shit. No girls though. A real boys' town is what he says." So Joe's like, "We need to get
Oh.
some wives over here." But I guess it's just a bunch of
That's
raiders
hilarious.
hanging out. But
Yeah,
Sure.
but they don't have the vision of Immortan Joe. They're not doing
No, they can't make
hydroponics
this
or
whole society. Yeah.
they don't start up the gas plant even though it's nearby. They don't make bullets. It's just a lead mine. They said they haven't no factory
Right.
or anything at the start of it. So.
Do they bring up why the horse mask?
They don't. He's always wearing gas masks. Like in every panel, even like at the start of the fall, like he's always wearing some type of respirator. So I don't know why. They don't explain it though, but he is like
It's
on
just to
some
look
type
extra
of.
scary.
Well, and there's almost like a cleanliness. Like such a deity, I have to be above. And obviously his obsession with purities and genetics. Like there is some sort of weird. He's got something going on.
And to be fair, like Rictus has to breathe. Like he has an apparatus too. It could be like a genetic thing,
Right.
Because neither
What
Immortan
if
Joe
you
can't
guys have
breathe either.
seen the in the video game? Obviously, Scrotus is the main antagonist, which is this other brother.
And
who
I
doesn't
just
appear
want
in
to
Fury
take
Road.
some umbrage real quick. Jacob, you're like, and he gets a chainsaw on his head, and I'm like, oh, that's funny. And then like in the era with this, where I'm like, oh, I'm sure it like glances past.
No, it
He has
gets
a
totally
chainsaw
lodged in his head.
in
Somehow
the
he does not
center
die.
of
Yeah.
his head the entire movie. How is he alive?
I don't know.
That's
He
Scrotus,
just
baby.
lives with the chainsaw blade in his head.
He builds an elaborate mask around it. It's incredible. Yeah,
Yeah.
And again, he doesn't look like Scrotus in Furiosa,
it's fine.
which I imagine, like, again, they had George Miller's pre-production notes. And for some reason, there's a character named Scrotus who is this other son of Morton Joe, but he doesn't appear in Fury Road, which I don't understand either. But
Well, that's probably the next thing is like the video game because Max sort of doesn't have his car and then he killed. No, that's in between. It's right before Fury Road. He kills.
it's before Fury Road, but I don't think George Miller had like approval over the story of the video game. They were kind of going off his notes, but I don't think he micromanaged the video game to that level. where-
No, I don't think he had much involvement at all. Just the
Yeah.
rights were Warner Brothers games and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But there is some like inconsistency with Furiosa and the comic where like Joe takes it over and immediately gives Gastown to the People Eater and the Bullet Farm to Kalashnikov, the Bullet Farmer.
Oh yeah.
So then it's
But
like,
we know
who's the
now
other guy? Who's this Rembrandt motherfucker? Right.
Yeah, we know now
who
that
is.
Dementis ran Gastown for a little bit, and all this other stuff happened before the people.
Right. So there's a little bit of inconsistency with the comic and Dementis taking over Gastown, but whatever. Timelines are stupid.
Yeah.
But it is like, who's this painting guy then? Because he's not in the comic either.
Right.
But I like him. Why
Well, he
why
was
is your
maybe
beard
a Morton
yellow?
Joe's brother, right?
It could be a
I
lot. Yeah.
thought,
That's he calls him brother. So, but definitely worth checking out. I would say
Yeah.
if you like Furiosa because it's an expansion of the universe. The comics are the exact same thing. Like it feels cool knowing more.
Yeah. No, I want to read
Is
these
it-
comes, and I want to read the Kyle Buchanan book about
Same.
making a Fury Road.
Without a doubt. Is it worth it at all to recommend people to see Fury Road? I feel like this is a very
haven't seen it,
well understood
Yeah.
masterpiece. Yeah.
Yeah. I try to be so quiet. Like in my apartment, I don't like to play TV too loud or anything, but I did turn the speakers up, like the subwoofer. I'm like, I gotta hear them rev it up for Morton Joe.
Yeah.
It's one of the few times
Doof Warrior.
when I'm watching this
Fuck yeah,
movie,
dude.
do it loud. Yeah.
I
wonder
I
if
don't
they
know if I
stole
said this
that.
last week. What?
Oh, no, when the congregation of destruction shows up and they rev the motorcycles with a Smeg is like gesturing, and it's like, that's really cool. But then in this
Yeah.
movie, the dude says like, rev it up for Morton Joe. Like, I wonder if they stole the concept. Like, that was kind of fucking cool. Like, this
Oh,
guy's
That's
an idiot.
our lore now. You're like,
Yeah,
all
that's
right.
ours.
They
They
just take
appropriated
stuff
that.
from Dementis.
Yeah, some
I
of the
love
stuff's
how
cool.
whenever they cut to the Doof Warrior in the soundtrack, you can hear it, and the guitars gets louder. And it's so well done because it's
The
like
shot of the crash that ends Rictus, of course, we should say, has the guitar on the bungee spring at the
Right.
screen and then immediately spring back.
which
Yeah.
I don't think it's not even CG. Like that was done practically.
I think it's
somehow,
real.
Which
I
is
truly
insane.
believe it's real.
Yeah.
Wow.
They speaking of the Doof Warrior,
yes.
I don't know if I said this last week, but Riley Keough, Capable, met her husband on the set of Fury Road, who was the Doof Warrior's stunt double.
That's really
So,
great.
there
You
you
did
go.
mention that,
Yeah.
but I think, yeah.
And the Doof Warrior was
Charlie's-
played by this Australian musician named Iota, or goes by Iota as his
Hey, nice.
stage name. So there you go.
Very cool.
In the downtime scene, I did like seeing a Doof Warrior just kind of napping out on his bungee cords too. Like,
It's so funny. It's
yeah, like
so
what do you guys
funny.
do when you're not warring? Like that was a nice single
Yeah.
little sequence. Yeah, it's
He's
cute.
got a guitar that shoots fire out of it. I mean, come on. It's so cool.
Yeah. Oh man, and it's just revealed. It's not like a big. It's just, and here it is. This thing
yeah.
exists.
It means
you know?
nothing. It's just flair. It's yeah. Why do we do this? Because it rules.
It's just the coolest
Yeah.
movie of all time. That's all.
It's the coolest movie of all time. I want more behind the scenes. Like I was trying to find more about the making of the cars because they had made a bunch of them before the green place got fucked up. Or no, they were working on it, and then 9/11 happened, and the Australian dollar plummeted, and so they had to just stop production. And because they didn't want the vehicles to get ripped off, they had to disassemble all the
They just
vehicles
had-
that they made.
Oh, I always thought they maybe just had them in storage or something for a while.
Well, they didn't want anybody to get a peek of them and then use the same ideas, so they
Right.
ended up just disassembling them completely, you know. But I want to know, like, there's 150 vehicles in this, you know. I want to know
Yeah.
about every single one and, like, how did you build it? Like, it's so interesting to me. There's a couple hero vehicles like the Giga Horse that have things on them, but not every single one.
Right.
So I just
Yeah, I
think that's
like
so
the-
cool.
The Giga Horse is like two cars stacked on top of each other.
George Miller says, in a world where there's no abundance, to show you have power, I have 2 of everything. Right?
Yeah.
Um,
I have 5 wives.
exactly.
Yeah, and again, I know they were going to make this movie in 2002 with Mel Gibson, which imagine what that movie would have been like. And then eventually he did get too old to really play the Max in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your Furiosa in 2002, Jacob?
That's a good question. That's a good
You know
question.
who?
I don't
Can I
know.
throw one out to you real quick?
Wow.
Is she
Yeah.
still alive? Brittany Murphy.
Oh, R.I.P.
Yeah.
That would have been an interesting role because she didn't do really anything like that. I mean, it
But
would have
she
been very
could do,
against type.
unhinged, manic. To see her
Yeah.
do repression would have been very interesting.
Yeah. I like
Yeah.
it. I like it.
That's hard. 2002.
I
I'm
think
just
she was
looking.
maybe dead by that point, unfortunately.
No, 2000. I think 2009 she died.
Yeah,
Oh, thank
she
God.
was
I would have been able.
yeah, she was voicing in King of the Hill until her death in I think 2009. Yeah, very sad death. She had like black
Halle
mold
Berry.
in her shower or something.
Halle
Whoa.
Berry's a great pick, Mike.
Well, another Catwoman actor to be in. You know.
Halle Berry, yeah, yeah. Brittany Murphy, she had mold in her house, and she died of like a respiratory disease, and then her boyfriend died like the same year of the
The
same
exact
thing.
same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Terrible.
Very sad. Make sure you don't have black mold in your house, ladies and gentlemen. It's
Wow.
the silent killer. I don't know.
P.S. That's why Martin Joe's got his mask too.
Yeah.
Black mold at the Citadel.
The earth is sour. Our bones are.
Should we do some final thoughts here?
I think
Yeah.
that's a good idea. We could roll over to final thoughts, downshift here. Yeah, let's do it right after this.
We're here on Normies Like Us, wrapping it up, talking Furiosa. We went in one direction of the podcast, then of course we turned around, and now we're heading towards the end of this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
talking our final thoughts.
That's right.
Yeah. I want to shout out the Volvolini. The other gesture that I forget from this movie is the little like grab the air and touch
Oh,
your heart
yeah.
to like they're honoring the dead. I think that's
I'm surprised
the
they
stars or
didn't-
something. Yeah.
They didn't do that in Furiosa.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
think so.
we only
I
had
don't
Mary
know.
Jabasa. No one really from
Right.
the Vuvolini was able to mourn her, but I I love Mary Jabasa. Just gotta say, she's the
Yeah.
coolest thing in that movie. To
Why
me.
did they not
She was
send
great,
more
yeah.
people? Now I'm mad
Yeah.
at the Green Place.
No,
Charlie Fraser,
they
the
need you
actress that
here.
played,
Why? Yeah.
Mary Jabasa,
Mm-hmm.
was very good in her limited scenes.
Yeah, but they should have sent more. But talking movies here. Fury Road, though. I mean, what are the things? Obviously, that this thing is so hailed for. It's like simple. It's pure octane, but it is the practical stunts. Like we said, we want stunt Oscars. Guy
Yeah.
Norris, the guy who in Road Warrior broke his legs and has that famous somersaulting stunt, if you know what I mean. He did the rolling of Mad Max's car in the opening of this movie. So it's like legends, legends. And to go from we have no safety standards to all the safety standards to do polecat actions, like what an evolution. But yeah, there's never, even in Furiosa, I think I now disagree that everything in Furiosa holds up to Fury Road, because there are some sequences that are untouchable. I think there's good sequences in
It's
Furiosa,
impossible.
Yeah.
but I think
But yeah, I
Furiosa
think
is really good underneath the truck and the guys on their skates. That's the highlight for me. But man,
Yeah.
this whole thing is
The
incredible.
whole war rig scene in Furiosa where the Octogod people are attacking the war rig, I think that's up there with everything in Fury Road. But I mean, Fury Road is just wall to wall action. So again, I think comparing the two movies, it's like they're two different movies. They're doing different things, right? And what's so great about this movie is just the economy of it. Like everything, there's not a wasted moment in this whole movie, and it's just a lean, mean machine. And the structure is just so good, and it's just it's unimpeachable.
Dang,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And I mean, Colin, what do you think here? I mean, we love
I'm
Mad
going to
Max.
do one quick criticism and share with you guys something.
Okay.
Which is that I've got my little Mad Max Blu-ray anthology here, right? My
Ooh.
little,
Hey,
my little
nice.
set. It's got every disc, of course.
How about that
No
opening shot?
longer. Now it is out of date. I am missing
Right.
one for this full saga,
Mm-hmm.
and they're absolutely gorgeous. It's Blu-rays. Now, for long-time listeners, I've mentioned it a couple times offhand, maybe on a couple of watches, but I've been doing my commentary voyage, right? I'm trying to watch every movie I have on physical with commentaries. So when I got to the M's, and I was like, Mad Max, these movies are made by a genius. He's gonna have so many incredible words to share, and I'm going to eat these up. Now, I have a theory for you guys, because there are no special features on this collection here.
Wow.
What I have realized in my commentary journey, and maybe I'll talk about this more in our next episode, which we'll explain at the end of this, that when there was the shift from VHS to DVD, the way that people tricked you to buy DVDs was VHSs were incredibly expensive. They were like $60 for a tape when they were first released, right? You were like, oh, wow, I own Jaws. I own a home video. It's the only thing of its kind, right?
I only had laser discs.
And that was the quality upgrade, right? And then that
Yeah.
fails. And so people go, well, how will we trick them to buy DVDs? And they go, they spent so much money. They already own Jaws. Why would they want to buy it again?
Special features and stuff, right?
Exactly, Jacob. That DVD discs were so fucking cheap that when you're buying them for only $20, you go, we're not going to be able to trick layman people with like, it's graphically better. The things are in widescreen now. It's not all full screen and cropped like VHS. People don't care about that. What they care about is they saw The Lord of the Rings. And they're like, I want to know everything about it, right? And now the shift from DVD to Blu-ray was the opposite. It happens every other year where instead they go, no, it's the graphics. You want the graphics. And I do. Obviously, I want the cleaner, more beautiful image, but I want documentaries. I want BTS. I want electronic press kits. I want commentary tracks. I want making of features. And there's none of those anymore. And it's so disappointing. Never buy anthologies is my lesson.
Right.
They're
Well, just in the
terrible
age of
collections.
streaming, it's gone away too, where it's like
it's just done. It's gone.
It's hard to even
completely.
own things on physical media now.
Right.
And,
I explained the process to you guys And I knew I
Yeah.
had to do it beat for beat
Mhm.
of how to watch Silver and Chrome on streaming because HBO or Max or whatever it's called does have director's cuts for a lot of material on their stuff, but it is
Right.
almost impossible to find.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And there are in some cases featurettes on a Netflix or an HBO, but they are impossible to
They
locate.
are impossible to
Yeah.
find. And I don't understand why they do this. And I guess I hope that, like, is there not going to be making of stuff on Furiosa? Like, the thing that would most interest me to watch that again would be a commentary track, honestly, for him to be like, this is the reason 9 years later I chose to focus on these elements of the Furiosa story
Mhm.
and say things like, and then the 40-day road war happened. Don't worry about that.
Oh,
You know,
that
like,
still frustrated me, yeah.
need to
Yeah.
hear him explain why he makes those choices.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
That's very funny. But no, I agree with you, man. I grew up watching Discovery Channel and like Movie Magic. That's like the first time I
Yeah.
saw Con Air. Like you made a small plane and crashed it to make it look like what? What? Like
Well, like you
special
said, the
effects
Lord of the
like,
Rings,
followed by that, yeah.
the Lord of the Rings DVDs were like integral to like a lot of people I know. That was like your first film school of like learning how movies
Hey,
get
why are
made.
you a director now? Oh, because
Yeah.
Peter Jackson explained how to do it. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, right.
Why are you a prop designer? Because I realized that was a career field.
Yes.
Through Lord,
Right.
because the Lord of the Rings was every department. Like I didn't realize the scope of like the job type you could have in Hollywood, but it was so thorough.
Right.
Music,
And, like, I
costume,
had the,
storyboard. Jeez.
you know, like James Cameron, like these directors doing commentary tracks. Like I learned so much from that. Or like I had Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl on DVD. That had a ton of special features, which I would just always watch, and I learned so much from that. And it's like it's just sad that that doesn't really exist anymore.
And they all go to YouTube now. They're the thing
guess,
that
yeah.
you try to generate buzz on by going like, didn't you see Ryan Reynolds is doing a 2-minute behind the scene featurette where he explains that him and Hugh Jackman worked out this many times? And I'm like, is this marketing or is this like informational?
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
don't
miss
know.
like when you have something too as seminal as like like this Fury Road, for example. Like we deserve to know as much about the process, like as an audience and as fans of the work, because we're gushing over it so much that we are
I'm
looking
buying
at
this
video
book.
games.
We're gonna share
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
Guys. We're reading this book.
I might audiobook, but
is
I'm
super interesting.
experiencing it.
Yeah, like if there was a behind the scenes documentary about the shooting of this movie, like of course we'd all want to watch it.
There are some like they're short though. They're like short, like 20, 30, 40 minutes. Like Warner Brothers put some of them on their YouTube. They're still hard to find, but
Yeah.
they're more normies, I say this with love, but they're for normies. Like I want the
Right.
film nerd,
Right.
like in depth.
Yeah.
We got
No, I
a
want the
52
details.
Chevy from this guy in Perth, Australia. Like I want every
Yeah.
bloody detail.
And Jacob, you would watch an Australian version of The Offer about the making of Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The Road War.
Yeah.
The Road War.
There it was called there is a documentary, it's on HBO's YouTube, called something like that, like the Road War, the battle to make Fury Road. It's like 40 minutes, but
Oh,
it's
yeah, sure.
for general audience though. Like I need the film nerds history,
Yeah, I
which
want
I think this book will provide.
Do you remember when Tropic Thunder made a fake version of one of those called Reign of Madness, the making of Tropic Thunder?
Yeah.
No,
well,
that's
it's like
incredible.
so when Francis Ford Coppola made Apocalypse Now, I think his wife, who was an editor, made
Heart of Darkness.
which is a documentary about the making of that movie and what a clusterfuck it was. And we just don't get things like that anymore, it seems
No.
like.
We don't.
No, I want to pull up the accolades for this thing real quick.
Christopher Nolan should be in a documentary that his wife made that explains him having a mental breakdown with the release of Tenet and COVID and then the rise of Oppenheimer. Like that's the
Yeah.
things that should be made now, Jacob, but we'll
That's really
never
interesting
get
'cause
that stuff.
I remember when Tenet came out, he really he's all about a
You have to go to the
theatrical
theater.
release.
You have to go to
'cause-
the theater.
Yeah, you have to see
How
it in
dare
theater.
you? You have to keep the theaters alive. Don't watch this movie at home. But we're dying, Christopher. No, how dare you? How dare you try to watch
But
my
that
movie at
movie's
home?
release was kind of ruined by the direct to streaming model. But then he was redeemed with Oppenheimer, which was a huge theatrical hit. So he
Make
was
the
kind of right.
documentary, dog.
Yeah. Oh man.
I was trying to find the Oscars that this thing did win.
Costume, I
Okay.
remember because that
I
crazy
know,
looking woman went up.
Yeah, I assume some of the technical awards. It was nominated for Best Picture, which is an achievement in itself. In that, like, this kind of movie would be nominated for Best Picture
Absolutely.
in the era of 10 movies, which it used to be 5 movies a year. So it is in the era of 10 movies a year. So they're
Yes.
allowing, and that was because of The Dark Knight, because that was snubbed, and people were like, how could you snub The Dark Knight for Best Picture? Let's expand it so we get more popular.
Ticket sales matter.
Yeah.
Like,
So it was
I remember the
nominated.
next year, District 9 was nominated, and that was kind of the big, like, oh
Yeah.
shit, District
Was it?
9 for Best Picture? Yeah.
I like District 9. It's a similar name.
Best Picture? You like District 9 enough to call it Best Picture?
It was
Yeah, it's
that
no
was
Chappie.
that was the makeup for, like, oh, Dark Knight got snubbed. Let's nominate like a similar blockbustery type movie.
Mm.
District 9, which I rewatched recently. Maybe not Best Picture material for me, but
No, the effects are very good
pretty
though.
decent movie. Yeah.
Christopher. So this was nominated for 10 Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Director, Best Cinematographer, Best Costume Design, Film Editing, Hair and Makeup Styling, Production Design, Sound Editing, Sound Mixing, and Visual Effects, and it won 6.
Wow.
That is awesome.
Best Director
That's the coolest thing I've ever
Is
Nominee.
surprising to me because there's only 5
How do you not?
for that. So it's like
Mhm.
he was one of the 5 best directors. The Academy even couldn't snub him, which I'm sure they would have loved.
But
to do
that
for
is
genre
some sort
movies
of,
like
it
this.
is with one of those stats where I think it and Avatar are the things of like the most nominations, but no acting categories, which you always find
Oh,
interesting.
sure.
Interesting. Yeah. But then it did win
makes
costume,
sense. I
film
mean-
editing, makeup, production design, sound editing, and sound mixing. So
As
Furiosa,
much as I
think, could get some.
love Tom and Charlize in this movie, I wouldn't say they're Oscar nominated material. As good as they are, I just don't think there's enough. Like, there's other roles probably that year that were more deserving for Oscar type stuff. But for a genre movie like this to get so recognized, I mean, The Road Warrior wasn't nominated for any Oscars, I don't think. So compare that to this. I
Oh,
mean,
best boomerang throw.
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, but now
But that does lead to the question of, like, is Furiosa, like, how many Oscars will it be nominated for? Definitely technical ones, but other than that, I don't know.
it'll be nominated for. I think of production design. We were talking about. There's like a crocodile skull on a motorcycle, like the outfits, the octo guy, the costuming, like that stuff.
Yeah.
I think production
You know
design,
what I didn't
costuming, hair and
shout out
makeup.
that episode? Dementis's motorcycle right at the end when he's saying goodbye to everybody and he gets on and he's got the one with the mannequin on it. It's very
Mhm.
striking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Should Dementis be nominated
Oh,
for best supporting actor?
Um,
Because if Heath
yeah.
Heath Ledger for the Joker, I mean,
could do that.
This is a similar, like, I feel like, and he has a lot of lines, strangely, because a lot of characters in Mad Max don't talk that much, but he's one of the talkiest characters in all of Mad Max.
And real quick, Jacob, did you get to the part in the podcast episode where Kyle Buchanan admits that once Mel Gibson dropped out, Heath Ledger was the first choice for Mad Max and Fury Road?
Yes. So it's going to be Heath Ledger
that's
instead
right.
of Tom Hardy.
Would have liked that. Would have liked
Yeah.
that quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
No, Tom Hardy, man.
Oh, you want the
Tom
other
Hardy.
Batman villain to play
Yes.
it? Interesting. Okay.
Oh, there's a lot of
Bane.
Batman connection to the Mad Max world.
Look, any role where Tom Hardy gets to do a weird voice or a weird accent, gets to obscure his face somehow. I mean, come on, nothing better. I mean, he's got Bane's mask. He's got the mask in this.
I don't want to hear it. I'm cutting you off.
Give him a
Venom.
mask.
No.
Venom
I am
3 coming
making
out
the
this year.
connection now.
Yeah.
I did make a joke about Doctor Strange 2 earlier. Charlize Theron does appear in the post-credits
That's
scene
right.
of that
She
movie
plays that
as,
one
I
character.
guess, a future
Cersei or
character.
something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Charlize. What do
stay
we
in the
think of
desert.
Charlize? as
So
an
the
actress? I've always
dreadlocks in
liked her.
Fast and the Furious, Jacob. Let's do like 20 minutes on that. real
Yeah.
quick.
Well, I
But
have my
her character always has the worst haircuts in those movies because she has like a weird bob thing in the other
No,
one too.
I have a conspiracy theory that there's a
Yeah.
Hollywood hair and makeup challenge, and they say, "Can you make Charlize Theron look unattractive, unless she's doing it on
plain.
purpose?"
Impossible.
You're like, we can't.
Impossible.
We
It's
can't.
not
We've cut all of her
working.
hair off. We've given her
He always
dreadlocks.
looks good.
I guess
Yeah.
Monster is the one exception where.
But that was on purpose. Yeah.
yeah.
Even then,
you have to use
Eileen
makeup, not just a
Wuornos,
haircut.
I'd throw it to Eileen Wuornos.
Well, you'd probably be dead then.
But weird haircuts.
Christina Ricci shoot me in the head.
But I've always thought Charlize Theron is a great actress, and she's done a lot of different kind of roles, and I think she
Mhm.
kills it in this, obviously.
I mean, I love her
I
in
never
Atomic.
thought of her before this. I'll say that
Really?
much. This was the one where I was like, she is everything.
I mean, Monster, obviously, but that was like her give me an Oscar type role where she's like, come on, I'm
I've never
doing
seen
weird
that.
makeup.
I don't know.
Atomic Blonde
Atomic Blonde.
with
Um,
Scargiver is in
You do
Atomic Blonde
action
too.
really well. Yeah. Sophia Boutella, my favorite.
Yes, no, I love Charlie's.
How dare you? It's Scargiver.
She was even in a movie
Sorry.
somewhat recently on Netflix called The Old Guard, where it's a more action
have you
type
guys
role.
seen
She
The
was
Old
pretty
Guard?
good in that. Yeah, I've seen
No.
that.
It is. I actually do like that movie. Actually,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's not bad.
I'm just glad we didn't do the J-Lo robot movie this week and we did Fury Road instead.
We listeners,
We
it was
talked
on the
about it.
table. Let's
It was
just
talked
say.
on
about
the
it.
table. I guess just in summary, this is the best movie ever made. We love it. Great universe. Let George Miller make unprofitable movies anyway. Just let him
That's
cook.
what I'm saying. But like
Just let
they
him
did,
cook.
because they let him make Furiosa, and people didn't come out to support it. Sadly.
Well,
But again, I
the
think-
economy's tough. It's not just the movie's fault, but they're going to
I don't
blame
think
the
it is.
movie.
Yeah, I don't think it's the movie's fault. The marketing wasn't great. It's a prequel to a 9-year-old movie, not starring the stars of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Mad
It's
Max
not
has
having the
always
main
been-
character, like, whatever. Like, it doesn't have a Mad Max in a Mad Max movie. Some
Right,
people
no Mad
complain.
Max, but also no Charlize Furiosa.
Correct.
And I think Mad Max has just never been that profitable of a franchise.
It's super niche. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
always been genre.
so it's only cool people will
Can I
get.
ask you guys for one last
Mad Max.
recommendation? I'm gonna do the comics, but I was
Mhm.
trying to think because I'm so max pilled right now.
Mm-hmm.
What is something similar that I could watch that's like this? That's obviously not just post-apocalyptic-y. I guess A Boy and His Dog, Jacob, but like
Boy and His Dog classic. Something like this.
yeah.
I don't know.
What's like a Mad Maxy? I don't know.
Well, the other big car franchise, obviously, is the Fast and the Furious. Very
Oh
different
my
kinds
gosh.
of movies.
Sure.
But,
Twisted Metal was obviously so much it seemed
Twisted
inspired
Metal.
by Mad
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah.
It's leading into Like Twisted Metal is like a couple years after the Great War. Where
It's
this is like,
you know what?
yeah.
You could still buy ice cream in Twisted Metal. That's the thing. So
So it's
shows
very
that
close.
The world
To,
can fail.
Mhm.
I have to shout out, and I'll talk about this next week as well, but Fortnite right now, the current season of Fortnite, which just dropped recently,
Oh right.
is
Yeah.
all Fallout and Mad Max based. Not Mad
Right.
Max IP, because they can't use the IP, but it's all car
Why?
combat, and it's like knockoff Mad Max Wastelander type stuff. And the T60 armor from Fallout is one of the new skins for this season, and it's just all post-apocalyptic road warrior
You've
shit.
never been able to be like Furiosa in Fortnite
No, they've never.
I
done
would've
like
bought
an
that.
IP
with
collab.
a sniper,
But-
Mike. You'd be playing that every night, dude.
And a
Something
motorcycle.
our friend Joe, who I play Fortnite with occasionally, was saying Warner Brothers hasn't done a collab with Fortnite in like a long time, like a couple years actually. And they have a lot of the DC characters and stuff from a few years ago, but for some reason there's been no new Warner Brothers collabs with Fortnite. So I'm not sure why. It's just some kind of business thing. Probably David Zaslav being a
Yeah,
I
the
would
next
have to
thing.
imagine.
Zaslav's
Yeah.
not letting us have another one.
no.
Like it just going like by
I really-
looking at how
I
it's
hate that
been
guy.
going.
He's because of him, TNT is losing the rights to the NBA and inside the NBA.
That's right.
And it's very sad. So that guy sucks. He's ruining many things, and capitalism sucks. And
We learned that
you
in
know,
Mad Max.
Hollywood is, the unholy amalgamation of art and commerce, and commerce will always trump art.
Some would
So-
call that the Congress of Destruction. That combination.
So that's why we probably won't get another Mad Max movie, because people didn't go out and fucking see this one. So
Well,
you know what
that
they
one
should
from
do
last
is
week.
they should re-release Fury Road in theaters. You know how they do those re-releases
Bro.
sometimes. fucking re-release Fury Road. People will go see that after seeing Furiosa. Come on.
Why no popcorn bucket, right? Like witness the
Yeah.
cinematic event. Like what do you? This is supposed to be a major summer
But
blockbuster.
like, Mike's done the 40X twice now. They should have announced they invented a new type of 40X for these movies, where it's like literally
Where
you're in a car, yes, while you're watching. You're just
And-
like, "Ah," you have to like
got-
drive down a racetrack. It'd be
You're getting
great.
blasted with a heat gun. You're in a
Yes.
car.
What they
Yeah.
need to do is, so 40X, I mean, I assume that's just normal like screen size in terms
Yeah.
of the screen. They need to combine IMAX with 40X so you can get the IMAX screen with the 40X effects, because that would be
Excited
the
for the
ultimate way to
lawsuits from the
watch it.
heart attacks people have while that happens.
Yeah.
Just the feature length
Ah.
Fast and the Furious ride as a Mad Max experience. Yeah.
But just
We
last thing I want to say just about the Furiosa box office, not to get too sidetracked, but I just think
Please.
no we're wrapping
it's
it.
really sad, and because the movies, the other, you can't even say like other movies are doing as bad as that, because Planet of the Apes, the new one, did really well, surprisingly. Dune 2 did well. The Fall Guy, which people are saying, oh, it wasn't doing well, it's had pretty good legs where it's sustained over time. It's actually made quite a bit of money.
And
too
it's
good on
another
digital.
hey, do
Yeah.
stunts. It's a praise of stunt work movie. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
shout
It's
out.
just sad to me that Furiosa has had such a drop off. And then
Because
like
it's a
that
good
If
ass movie.
was a bomb, but that looked like a bomb to begin with.
Is
This
the
movie like,
runtime a problem?
good?
You know, like
How
you
long
could,
is it? Over 2 hours.
2:45, I think.
That's pretty long.
And it just
That's
limits the
pretty
number of
long.
daily showings.
And that's what's so
Yeah.
genius about this movie, is that it clocks in at like 2 hours exactly, almost, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, it doesn't feel like a second is wasted, and it's not too long, it's not too short, it's like just the right length. So
No,
another win for Fury Road.
2.5 hours for Furiosa limits the number of screenings you can have per day as well.
True.
That
This is
kind of
the
meta.
length of this podcast, though.
Yeah, we're yes, but we could talk about Fury Road for days, and I want to.
Yeah,
But
we're riding on the Fury Road here. We're doing 2 episodes back to back in the wasteland because, again, we fucking love this. So
Yes.
I'll chat your ears off, Normies.
yeah, I'm gonna die historic on the
Absolutely.
Fury Road. I found the documentary. Back to Colin's point of this shit doesn't exist.
On
The
YouTube?
original documentary, yes, it's on YouTube on Warner Brothers' main channel, but its title is "Going Mad: The Battle of Fury Road." But you can't search that because the title of the video is Mad Max Fury Road behind the scenes documentary, filmmakers George Miller. Like they don't title it what the title of the documentary is. So
Right.
look up behind the scenes documentary, I guess. Find it. It's 40 some minutes.
You just have to type in the words featurette now. That's all anybody. It's the featurette. You're like,
Featurette,
great.
yeah.
No. give me
Fantastic.
10 hours of
Well,
car
look,
lore.
Just let George do whatever he wants for the rest of his life and make whatever movies he wants to make. And
Mad Babe Fury Pig? You want him to make a third Babe movie, Jacob?
a lot of people, I don't know if I've ever seen Babe Pig in the City, but
It's
people
insane.
online were making connections between Babe Pig in the City and Furiosa, and saying there's a lot of connections there.
I'm at that era
know.
now where I need to watch the Happy Feet and Babe movies and do a YouTube video. Because
Yeah,
Colin, you
just
said
watch
that
his
one
whole
Happy Feet, they
filmography.
get abducted, right? Taken from the green place.
Yes,
Right.
that's true, Mike. That's 100% what it is. It also ends with a bunch of krill singing and explaining that we're all part of the fabric of the universe. It's quite interesting.
Fascinating. But yeah, I want to see George Miller, if his wasteland instincts and storytelling makes its way into those movies, just out of curiosity. Because it is the
It's
hero's
also-
Did
journey.
you guys know that Babe Pig in the City is a remake of The Wizard of Oz?
Whoa.
I
It's
didn't know
very
that.
strange. I saw it in
Yeah.
theaters as a kid, and I remember leaving with my brother and being like, "That's not Babe," because it's nothing like the first Babe. It's completely insane.
Well,
They
I
love
guess
to
we
make
know it's
sequels that are to critically acclaimed movies that are darker and weirder and less critically acclaimed. You did it with Babe, you did it with Happy Feet 2, and now Furiosa. So,
hey,
um,
man.
but
That's
just the
so
fact
funny.
that he has made 3 movies in the last 9 years, which is kind of a miracle in itself, with 3,000 Years of Longing.
It took a decade for him to make one. You're right. I mean,
Yeah. Considering we didn't get a new Mad Max movie for 30 years, and now we have 2 plus another movie in the last 9 years.
And it took 20 to get it made, basically, like
Yeah.
from start to finish. Well, 15 or
Uh,
something.
God forbid us
7,000
if we ever
days.
get the dark sequel to Witches of Eastwick or Lorenzo's Oil.
Right. Lorenzo's Oil.
Jack Nicholson. still alive, retired, could come back for Witches of Eastwick.
Yeah.
Oh man. I
He's
mean,
only like 97 years old.
Cher, I think, is 100 years old.
Yeah.
yeah. I figured George
don't
Miller
know.
would have been done with pigs after Beyond Thunderdome, but he had one more in
He
him.
needs to make a
Hello?
crossover where Babe is living in the
Pig in the Wasteland?
Mad Max wasteland, and has to
Pig in
survive.
the Wasteland.
Oh my
Babe,
gosh.
Pig in the Wasteland.
Babe,
He
Pig in the
becomes
Wasteland.
not shit energy. Yeah, he joins Bartertown.
That's right. Yeah, he's working on Bartertown.
We Yahweh.
Yep. Oh my gosh. We love George
bring
Miller.
back what's his name, the farmer.
Cromwell.
James Cromwell.
James Cromwell.
That'll do, Max. That'll do.
Yeah.
That'll do, Max. That'll do. That's
That's
funny.
what that's what Max says as Furious is going up the thing at the end. That'll do, Furious.
That'll
And
do,
you're like,
Max.
wait, what? As it cuts to black.
That's a way better credit.
Babe
You
was also
combined them?
nominated for Best Picture, I believe. So
It was,
Miller.
dog, yes. Also important to note, he did not direct the first Babe. He wrote and produced the first
Mhm.
Babe. He
I
directed
was
the
mistaken on
sequel,
that.
Babe Pig in
Okay.
the City.
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Good
It
distinction.
devastated the guy who actually directed that movie that people, much like Nightmare Before Christmas, would say, well, Tim
Oh,
Burton
yeah.
directed that movie. You're like, no, he did not.
Well, it didn't help that was called a lot in
Tim Burton's Nightmare
Tim
Before
Burton's
Christmas.
Nightmare Before Christmas, but he
Yes.
just produced it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Henry
brutal.
Selick.
Yep.
But yeah, George Miller, one of the strangest careers of any director we've ever seen.
Without a
but
doubt.
I'm glad that he exists. Yeah.
So consistent, and again, to be delivering action at the level of Fury Road and Furiosa, go watch it. It's a good movie. Like, nobody in the
Yeah.
game is doing it like him. It's the most gripping and brilliant visual storytelling, like, in Hollywood, period. Like, nobody does it like George. He's
Yeah.
one in a million.
We've never done a Death Stranding episode, but I have a horrible fear that the only time we will ever be able to discuss him again would be Death Stranding 2.
I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
and now I'm supposed to go watch Beetlejuice? Like, fuck, dude.
Beetlejuice.
But don't say it again.
Yeah, that's one more for me.
Be
Yo,
careful.
I saw-
That's all I'm gonna warn.
No, we'll save that for the Watcha coming up soon. But yeah, let's
You have
tease that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next
The
next
most
episode. So
half-hearted Michael
if-
Keaton, the juice is
What?
loose.
Don't
really
please drop it. I can't. My beloved Jenna. Now,
No.
normie listeners of this
Normie
podcast,
heads.
if you're looking at that little episode number, go up next to
That's
this
right.
podcast.
298 is this one.
298 for this
You're
one.
probably
means-
I'll praise him,
realizing how
98.
close we're getting to the big one, and we have teased kind of what we're doing on that. Jacob, please explain everything coming up here.
Yes.
Yes. So next week, 299, we'll be doing our Watcha a week earlier, which we normally do every 10 episodes. Because for
We're
300,
obligated because of our Zack
doing-
Snyder love. Yes.
There's
Mike's
two Zacks inside
favorite
us. Zach
director.
Braff and Zack Snyder.
Mike's favorite director, Zack Snyder, made a little
That's
movie
right.
called 300.
It just happened
will
to be
be-
called.
Just happened to be called. And we'll be witnessing a guy kicking another guy into a pit and saying, "This is Sparta."
Jerry Butler would have been a great Mad Max back in
Oh,
the
yeah.
day.
Mm.
For sure. I
One
can
thing
see
that's
that.
missing from Tom Hardy's Mad Max is the blue eyes, because we have Carman Jack, Furiosa, and Mel Gibson. The blue eyes with that push in, it's like a staple. So
Carman
Oh,
Jack.
yeah.
He does have
Yeah.
blue eyes. I could get
Boy,
lost in
does
those
he.
damn things.
But
God,
yeah,
I
so
just love him.
back to the Zack Snyderverse. I'm glad we're doing the Watcha first, because I would feel very upset having to watch Zack Snyder after watching Fury
After
Road.
this,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
Well, we'll see how 300 holds up.
Buff Men
Are
in
you
the
guys gonna
Desert
watch
with
the
red
sequel
capes.
as well? 'Cause
Well,
there's a
I'm going to
sequel
watch
300.
300 Blood and Chrome.
Did they do a black and white 300 really?
please
That would be
don't out
hilarious.
loud suggest that. He will hear you.
Watchmen.
Oh my god! I could
Black
see
and
Mad
Chrome.
Max like or not Mad Zach. Mad Zach would be like, I should do a wasteland
Mad
style
Zach.
movie. He'll just rip it off.
Well,
I'll
look,
have
we're
a hot
doing
chick.
300. We did obviously the Scargiver, our favorite, Rebel
Uh-huh.
Moon parts 1 and 2. We've done
Ooh.
Army of the Dead in the past.
We did Justice League.
We did
Yeah.
Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Snyder cut. At some point, we're going to have to talk about Watchmen, I think. That's next.
Yeah,
at some
that's
point.
interesting.
We'll do a
Yeah.
next Watcha on Watchmen,
Yeah.
and then
Watcha
push the
Watchmen.
Watcha to a different day.
You guys never want to watch girl movie that I can't suddenly remember
Oh
what
yeah,
it's called.
Sucker Punch.
Thank
Sucker
you.
Punch. When I went to the
Um,
theaters to see that, the marquee has the LED text. It was stuck, so it just said "suck," and I was like,
Suck.
"Well, that pretty much describes it."
Yeah. We've got that. We've got
Oh,
the Owls
Zach.
of Ga'Hoole, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
many,
Zach.
many Zack Snyder movies we could do.
But
But
300
300 for 300. Yeah.
yes, we
That's
must
And
abide.
maybe I'll watch
so.
the sequel too that wasn't directed by him.
Did he
A New
direct it?
Empire.
He didn't direct it.
New Empire will be a
Like the
second
start.
screen experience. I will not spend my full attention on.
No. I told you it has a battle sex scene in it, which is maybe the most interesting thing that's ever been put to
That
cinema.
sounds like the most
And it
Zack
has
Snyder
Eva
idea
Green,
ever.
the most beautiful woman that's ever
Yeah.
existed.
A woman
So
who loves to be naked on screen. It is her
Yeah.
only joy in life.
it's a win-win.
Yes.
They should have called it 301 Spartans.
Yeah.
You know?
So we'll be talking, Battle of Thermopylae. For you history buffs out there thinking
Hey,
about
you know what the
Roman
hot gates
Empire.
are? George Miller used that concept in this very movie that we just discussed.
That's right.
Wow.
You know what? There's kind of a scum bucket in that now that I'm thinking about it. There is
There's
like a
a scum bucket.
hunchbacky monster.
Yeah, right.
And get dudes in red capes on some sand. So very
Yeah,
Dimension
yeah,
Center.
that's
very
right.
homoerotic
Yeah.
movie. Very
Yeah,
excited for
let's
the
go.
homoeroticism.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And made of gold.
A
Cool.
young Michael Fassbender.
Yeah,
We'll talk
first
about it.
first screen appearance. We'll talk
Yeah.
about it. So we're gonna do that what you first, then we're gonna do our big 300. We're gonna be talking about just the state of that we've done 300 of these. It's gonna be very self-gratifying. Get ready for
Oh,
that,
sure.
listeners. We
Yeah.
love you and appreciate you.
Yeah, I
I've been
appreciate
watching
it.
and playing stuff, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we got some good episodes lined up in the future. We got some TV shows coming back that we like. Hint, hint. So we'll see how that goes.
Yes.
We
All
have more
right.
apes,
Go-
of course, every month. New apes.
Yeah.
We're still going ape. Get ready for that. This is the wrap up. We of course do those apes for our long form series. This is the wrap up of a mini series here that we just did in the Wasteland. Two
Mhm.
little
Yeah.
films.
Mad Max
back to
Saga.
back. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Mad Max Saga. So write in to us at normies_like_us. Tell us who you identify more with, the people eater or the bullet farmer. I'm a people eater, of course.
I'm a
Team
Doof
Bullet
Warrior.
Farm.
So head to Gastown, let us know. Check us out at YouTube to see Mike's awesome jacket as well.
That's right.
And next week, Jacob will be
And Morton,
wearing
like,
oil on his head. He
Praetorian.
did promise. You will
That's
be
right.
Victorian next week.
Right. And 300 no shirts, baby.
right.
Fuck yeah, we are working hard right now, dude. We're getting there. I'm gonna be jacked in 2 weeks. So
We
get
gotta
ready
get
for
the
that.
views
I'm gonna be
somehow.
moving in slow motion.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, slow oily
I'm excited
motion.
for it.
Get ready.
Yep.
Am I
We'll see how it
wrong?
holds up. Yeah.
Is the Queen of Dragons in that movie?
Yes.
Cersei.
Cersei,
Cersei herself.
yeah. Yeah,
Cersei
look at that.
Lannister.
Lena
Spartacus'
Headey.
Headey.
wife. Not Spartacus, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Jerry Butler.
Yeah.
Jerry.
That's his name in the movie.
Gerardicus.
Gerardicus. That's good. That's good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to more Zack Snyder. I'm sure you are as well. And George Miller to Zack Snyder. What
Who's
can you do?
better?
Two great directors.
Easy.
Yeah.
Logical.
One knows the hero's journey, one has never heard of it. It's not that complicated, Zach. But, we do unfortunately live in the universe where we probably will get less George Miller and more Zack Snyder going forward. So,
Yeah. Well,
go and Fandango.
I was right.
buy
We'll talk
tickets.
about it. He's retreating to television. I was correct in my prediction.
Yeah, you called
Did
it.
you guys see that?
No,
Sure.
okay.
I didn't see that,
Interesting. 2 weeks,
We'll
we'll talk
talk
about
about
it
it.
more.
yeah.
Buy tickets
All right.
to Furiosa, even if you're not going, just buy them.
Please.
That's right.
Yes, please.
Support
Sound of freedom
Mad
yourself.
Max.
Buy
Yeah.
tickets to a fake empty theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went again,
Absolutely.
even with mixed feelings. Not that it's
I'm
bad.
gonna
I'm
see
proud of
it
you,
once, at least once more in theaters because I
Yeah.
love it. And it's not as good as Fury Road, but it's still pretty damn good.
Pretty interesting.
All right,
All right.
final question. What would the bucket have been? What should the popcorn bucket have been for Furiosa?
Oh, it
Oh,
should have been
probably
her
like
arm.
a jar of piss. Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
her
it should've
hand
been
holding
jar.
it. Should have come with it. That's the free cocktail. I get a piss jar
Yes.
with your order.
And so, what is this? This is for you, piss boy. Did you just
One
excuse
jar
me,
of piss.
AMC?
It would have a
employee,
crazy
did you just call
steering
me a
wheel.
piss boy?
You
Yes,
guys saw the
steering wheel.
Deadpool Wolverine one that they've done now.
You could've done a Morton Joe.
Yeah.
It's not
It's
as
just a
funny when
blow-up
it's
doll.
intentional. Like,
purpose.
the funny part
No,
of the
it's
Dune one is
silly.
that it was unintentional. But
Yes, that
Yeah.
you would fuck Dune.
yeah, a sandworm.
Oh man. All right. We'll catch you
well,
next time, normies.
We've been your war boys.
yeah, we've been your
Mhm.
war boys. This is Cucks.
Nice.
CUX, Cucks. And you know what it
That's really
stands
good.
for, baby.
Mad Mike.
And this is the Dag, aka Rictus J. Rectus. Jake Rectus.
The Jag.
The
The Jag.
The Judge Advocate General.
That's me.
Oh man, it's a Padre tour. I don't know. It's just toast with the most. Catch you next time, normies.
Hey, vroom vroom.
Vroom.